live and in color. Welcome to the Fixed Ops Roundtable pop-up event. Here to get the show on the road are our hosts, Ted Ings, Sarah Vantine, Katrina Ness, and Vanessa Collins.
Welcome to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. I'm Sarah Vantine here with Ted Ings. Today we are at the Suburban collection, and Ted, you can already feel the energy in the room today.
Sarah, you're so right. Amazing energy here with Lithia and the Suburban collection. We have the leaders of the organization with us here. I'd like to ask them each today to introduce themselves and tell us what you do here and within the industry, starting here with Cody.
Hey everybody, my name's Cody Adams, multi-store general manager here at Suburban Collection. Been in the industry since 2012. Looking forward to share some great insight of what we do here at Suburban and Lithia.
All right, I'm Mike Cavanaugh. I'm a vice president here at Lithia. Been with the organization for a little over 5 years. Been in the auto industry most of my life, outside of a little bit of time in the Marine Corps. Grew up in the car business. Love it here. Probably my favorite thing I've ever done in my life is work here at Lithia. So happy to be here today and talking to you with these gentlemen.
John Chatzopoulos, platform general manager, supporting here stores locally in Troy and Southeast Michigan. Appreciate being here. Looking forward to the discussion.
Mike, I would love to come to you first. Today, we're at the Lithia, at Lithia, and it's amazing to see just all of the different employees, all the different dealerships that are along here that are part of the Suburban collection. If you had to sum up Lithia's culture in just a few words, how would you describe it?
Okay, well, we keep it really easy because we've got 4 core values, and it's earn customers for life, take personal ownership, improve constantly, and have fun. Right. So if we're going to summarize it, it's pretty easy because there's only 4. But I would say that we always start with earn customers for life because that's the most important thing. You know, we've got big, beautiful buildings and we've got really expensive vehicles all over the place. But if we don't have customers, they just sit here and there's really no point. Right. So first and foremost, we have to earn customers for life. And the way that we do that is by taking personal ownership. Right. And improving constantly at what we do every day. So we've got to take ownership of, you know, how we care for our customers, how we handle the phones, how we handle customers and service, you know, genuinely wanting to serve people. We have to improve constantly because we all make mistakes for humans, right? Because hard as we try to do things, as good as we train, we still fall short and we have to take personal ownership to improve at things. And last but not least, right? I mean, I consider both these guys my friends. You have to want to have fun and you want to enjoy the people that you work with. And the thing that I say often is that, you know, I feel very fortunate because I love what I do. I love who I do it with, and I love where I get to do it at. And I think that's really what makes this place a lot of fun.
Well, Cody and John, I'd love to get your perspective as well. How do you see Lithia's culture impacting your employees across these organizations?
John, you want to take it?
Sure. I think for me, well said, Mike, but, you know, our intentionality with our people, you know, our mission statement is growth powered by people. And how much we focus on, you know, their development and their career path is really what kind of spoke to me with joining the organization, and now kind of seeing it come to light has been awesome for me. So,
Yeah, truly. I mean, we have so many resources and so many team members and so many just people, customers to impact, and having a culture that supports you from almost every corner of business or personal development, professional development. You know, you can simply just read on the walls of what we really stand for. And when you walk in, you can really feel it. So Lithia as a culture, you know, it is truly impactful with just, you know, as Mike and John were explaining, just, you know, our core values. It's a great place to be and very supportive.
Cody, I want to come to you with a follow-up. You oversee, as you mentioned, several stores here with the Suburban collection at Lithia. What's one thing about working here that you find surprises people the most, both employees and you know, the external customers as well?
Yeah, internally, you know, it surprises me every day. You know, I can pick up the phone. I have people call me from different states, and you know, the funny thing is, the fundamentals are all the same, and we can pick up a phone and you can get resources from anybody here, and you can be inspired by anybody from just entering their career here with Lithia, and you know, you can call someone that's been here tenured from a different state, and we're all simply trying to get and accomplish the same thing, and that's truly earning a customer for life, right? And you know, the surprising thing is every single day I wake up, I get to learn something new, and it's truly impactful for me just because I am a firm believer of like an iron sharpening iron kind of guy. And this this industry is changing. The services are changing. The expectations are changing. And, you know, the beautiful thing about it is I have a different mindset that I can reach out to at any time. Right. And that is very surprising internally. And that can go from, you know, ground up, you know, an individual that starts their career to someone that has tenure over 20, 30 years. For a customer, look at these facilities, right? You know, we stand for something that means we want to earn your customer. We want to earn our customers' business for life. And we have everything designed for our customer outreach. We are reaching out for customers. We're delivering to their doorstep. So we're trying to get customers back in to do business with us on a maintenance or a heavy mechanical side, buying a vehicle, and talking about their individuals and their family. We really want to earn customers in a way of a longevity down here. So that's extremely surprising to me.
Mike, anything you want to add to that?
You know, I would say that one thing that I hear surprises a lot of people is the level of humility that a lot of folks have, is that it's a core part of being a leader here is humble confidence. And we've talked about that a lot. And it's one of the reasons that I joined the company, you know, a little over 5 years ago, is when I met our CEO and our COO at the time. These are very successful people in the automotive industry, but they're just down to earth, good people that want to work hard, you know, provide a good opportunity for their employees to continue to grow and serve their community. And I think that's something that's surprising to people, is they think of these big publicly traded dealer groups, and they think of us as the biggest, the largest publicly traded dealer group in the world. And they think it's a very stuffy, corporate, you know, overly complex organization, but it's not at all, right? It's very decentralized. And I think that's something that's very surprising to people that have a very different perception than what reality really is here.
Yeah. John, anything you want to add to that? I'm sorry.
I would say our intentionality with people, we focus so much on the people development and understand that, you know, they have aspirations and they have a career path, and, you know, we're part of that, right? We kind of set that tone, and seeing that, I think, really surprises people, because, you know, in a normal organization, you might get stuck. Where we're looking at it, we're like, hey, are you ready to go? Come on. Are you ready to take the next step? And sometimes, you know, we've talked about that. We might do it a little too fast, where growth comes too fast and everybody has these expectations. But yeah, I would say for me, the surprising part would be how fast we develop people.
John, I love hearing that, because I mean, growth and being mindful of what opportunities, you know, somebody wants to take in their career, and pushing them maybe when they're not ready, but they are ready. Maybe they're not thinking that they're ready. That's such a critical part of, you know, development, especially with our younger generations as they enter automotive. I would love to get your perspective. How do you keep the team energy high when you have so many locations?
I would say probably starts with recognition, and recognition probably looks different at every store, right? And you know, Mike talked about this early on when we started working together. He said we give people freedom within their framework, right, and earned autonomy. And if somebody's earned that right to, you know, run their own play, then so be it. And so when you think about what recognition looks like at different stores, you know, we have some of our leaders that do simple things like give a person a brick, and that brick is part of building a foundation, and that's kind of the theme behind it, and it's aligned with our core values. You know, you have other stores with technicians that for whoever turns the most hours gets, you know, like a big gold chain. And I think it's allowing our leaders to figure out what's right for their store and how they're going to recognize our people, kind of keep spirits high. And obviously compensation, right? We all come to work to make money. And I think, you know, with the way we look at our compensation, it aligns with, you know, what we expect and what will make you, you know, successful and bring money out.
To follow up on what John just said, if I want to ask a question to Cody and Mike, a lot of this speaks to consistency and culture. Mike first and then Cody. How do you maintain that consistent culture while allowing each store to have its own identity?
You know, I would say it all starts with the right people in the right seats in the leadership role. So, you know, the general manager role is something that we put a lot of focus on at Lithia, right? That it is, get the general manager right, get that role right. Make sure you've got the right leader that, you know, lives our core values, operates the business the right way, understands how to, you know, push the team in a healthy way, but stay within the lines of, you know, compliance, legal, you know, keep everybody out of trouble, so to speak. build a good culture. But if you get that one person right, everything else is easy. You don't need a big corporate team to micromanage everything that happens. You just need good leaders that really want to invest in their department leaders that teach and demonstrate how to help them develop the folks that are in advisor roles, sales roles, finance manager roles. But ultimately, get that general manager role right. When you've got, hundreds of stores across 3 different countries, that is an extremely important role. So I think that's something that we put a lot of focus on, is how do we get that role right every time?
Anything to add to that?
Absolutely. I think early in my career, I'm sitting here talking to Mike, and he said, speed of the leader and speed of the ship. Take personal ownership. And it was pretty wild to me, when you go and talk to a technician, right? And, you can have some gloomy days, but one person can really change something really. Yes, that's one thing where you look in the eye, you just give them a positive reinforcement and just say, hey, you got this, right? We really can actually make so much good that internally, and that just spreads, right? So, keep the culture in multiple stores with multiple locations, right? You have to trust your team members quite a bit. And there's a lot of responsibility. But, hey, if you take personal ownership with that and actually make an impact with your team to go get where you want to go.
Can I share one more thing that's important? And this was something that our chief people officer, Gary Glandon, shared with me years ago, but it's something that I think everybody should hear. And it helps culture, is that you have to remember that every single person that works at your company is somebody's son or somebody's daughter. Right. And I think it's relevant because all the work we do with Northwood and a lot of the interns and the Dart folks that we've had come through here, it's a lot more relevant because you can see them being somebody's son or somebody's daughter. And we have an obligation, right? Not just to have a good culture, but to have a culture that you would want your own son or daughter to come to work in every day. As a leader, you have a responsibility to make certain decisions, and you have a responsibility to pull the bad apples out when they're bad. And that's a weakness we've had in the automotive industry for a very long time, is we've let bad actors and probably the wrong people stick around too long because maybe they sold a lot of cars, right? But as a leader, how do you maintain that culture? Is you have zero tolerance over, I would say, the nonsense, and you performance manage the underperformers out, and you make sure that if there's bad behavior, it's unacceptable.
Well, on that note, Mike, today we're going to get a chance to meet the people of your organization.
Great.
So we are looking forward to that. With a different twist today, we are going to have the interviews conducted by the students of Northwood University here in Michigan. And Mike, I know Northwood holds a special place in your heart as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I've got my undergrad and my MBA there as well, too, thanks to Mr. Matt Bennett recruiting me over there to come back for that. I actually was going to the University of Michigan to get my joint JD MBA, and he said, I think Northwood's a better choice. And so I always said he missed his calling in the car business. He was a good closer.
He's a great closer. Yep. So today we'll meet the people of Lithia, the Suburban Collection, and we'll have those interviews conducted by some of the best automotive and best marketing and management students in the country at Northwood University. So, gentlemen, thank you for having us in to give us this opportunity. Thank you. Sarah, we're looking forward to it.
It's going to be an incredible day, Ted.
All right. So I'm Ted Ings with Sarah Vantine. We're here at Lithia, the Suburban Collection in Troy, Michigan. A lot ahead. We will be right back.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. I'm Sarah Vantine here with Ted Ings. Today we are at the Suburban Collection, part of Lithia, and Ted, mobile service is on our minds.
Mobile service is at the top of the menu. And Sarah, we have some of the leaders in our industry. I'd like to ask each of them to introduce themselves and tell us what they do, starting with Karl. Wait.
Hi, my name is Karl Murphy. I'm the CEO and founder of Spiffy. We provide mobile infrastructure for dealerships, software, and van outfits.
I'm Ed Roberts, COO and GM of Bozard Ford Lincoln in San Augustine, Florida.
Jim Elder. I'm a general manager for the Ford dealerships in the Southeast Michigan here and a Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram store.
Mark Mickens. I'm the Director of Retail Services for ES3 Automotive.
Corey Blackwell, also with Spiffy and EVP of Business Development.
Well, and Jim, I want to come to you first because the Suburban Collection's mobile service is really cutting edge, and we're seeing a lot of evolution of how this is happening across the industry. So how does the Suburban Collection's mobile service bring the shop to the customer?
I think it's evolved. We're pretty much in the infancy stages of it right now still. We've been at it for probably 5 years. But, in the first thing you think of with mobile service is service department, right? But really where it starts is both in the service department and in the variable side as well. So it's the team that really promotes it all the way throughout. It's more of a 360-degree approach to it, where as we're selling cars, we're promoting mobile service, right? It's an added benefit. And then in the service advisors, it's really taking a load off of them with the phones and talking to the customers and going to them, right? And offering that up because it's new pretty much in the Southeast Michigan area, and people get excited to hear about it and that we offer it.
And Ed, I'd love to get your follow-up on it too, because you've had growing mobile service empire down in the south of Florida. How have you seen the customer react to having the shop really come to them?
It's removing the friction of car ownership. And for so long, we've forced people to go through what we want them to do at the car dealer, at our dealers, and they don't want to come there. And then so when we force them to come there, then we got to figure out how to get them to do this and how to get them to do that. But when we remove that friction and we go to their place of comfort, whether it's work, old home, whatever that may be, then the level of trust, you start at a different foundation, and you're able to build that trust a lot faster.
And Mark, we're seeing this evolve from not just, domestic brands here. We're seeing a lot of different OEMs taking on mobile service and thinking about this experience.
Right. I work a lot with luxury brand, and when you think about it, mobile service should be a natural transition for a luxury brand, right? You should be the top service person, in the space, but it does help you sell cars, right?
Oh, it sure does.
So it's all about retention now too. Everybody's fighting for a smaller pie, and you can, if you can, differentiate yourself from your competition. Once somebody has a mobile service done, they're not going to want to give that up on their next car purchase, right? If you do it, you're pretty much going to catch me. So it does help you sell cars.
Absolutely.
And Karl, one of the things that I think has been most important about this entire process really is the support the dealer gets to initiate mobile service and really enable that experience for the customer.
Yeah, I think from our standpoint, we're obviously providing software to dealerships because it's critical for the scalability. There's dealers like Ed that are moving, 30, 40 vans a day across a large part of a state. To get there and to optimize that and do that profitably and efficiently, you need technology to do that. A service advisor can run 2 or 3 vans, and then at some level, you're just never going to get beyond that because of the scalability, the human versus sort of the automations.
And Troy, we're seeing more and more customers really, expect this kind of level of service because as everyone's mentioned so far, having that comfort of being able to do it right in your driveway, it's a lot different than coming to the dealership.
Yeah, absolutely. And yesterday I was fortunate to spend some time at Jim's store right across the street here. And what was impressive, I chatted with the service director this morning, and he had 11 appointments yesterday. I don't know about you, it was freezing yesterday. I was in California, and being here and then them operating, but there's an appetite at Jim's store there, and but 11 customers yesterday is big.
Ed, I want to ask you first, two things. Number one, what kind of repairs or maintenance can you do in somebody's driveway? And second, as has been mentioned here on the panel, you run a large volume, you've got 40 plus vehicles. How important is that software component to being able to scale and to be able to continue to build a business?
Well, a lot of times we ask ourselves, what can we do in field? And what we should be asking ourselves is, what can we do? Because if you look at it from that lens, you can certainly find a lot more that you can do. And another thing that I tell people a lot is go walk through your service department, and every vehicle that's being worked on in your service department without being lifted up, without the lift being set on, is things that you can do in build. And when you look at it from that lens, we're doing software updates, we're doing diagnosis and repairs of life repairs, all kinds of maintenance items. But we can do about 80% of what these vehicles need in field. And then from a scalability standpoint, and Karl hit it on the head, one advisor can handle 2 or 3 trucks pretty effectively, but you cannot handle 12 trucks through 3 advisors or 4 advisors consistently the same way. So that's where you need some technology to help with efficiencies and tie those things together to where you can deliver a consistent process.
I'm going to ask Karl and Troy to weigh in on that, but first, let me come to Mark and then Jim. Mark, again, any difference on the kind of services you can perform? I know you were early on the mobile service.
I'm with Ed though. I think you have to decide what the cat is first. And you really do need to develop the menu, really when you get into it, and evolve the menu too.
Yeah.
New recalls come out, new technology comes out. We're so far advanced from where I was. When I started, just from a technology standpoint, right? The software makes you more efficient. The connectivity we can put in the vans now allows you to, really to program a wider range of things that you need to do. So that's, always evolving. So I'm with Ed though. I think it's what you can't do, and safety first, right? Like, safety's a big thing. And, through some really good tooling, engineering changes that have been made, we've come up with some really good tooling features that can make it safer for someone to lift the car if they want to. So, some good advances. I mean, we keep advancing every year.
Like that. Genuine.
I really don't think there's any limitations when it comes to mobile service, right? So if you can look at it, from a mile high view, when there is heavy repair that needs to be done, obviously we like to have the cars in the shop to do that for safety reasons and other reasons. But at the same time, there is some constraints when it comes to shop throughput. So if we can send the mobile van out to a customer, get it diagnosed, and understand really what the true problem is, or parts, then the efficiency works all the way around. So those heavy repairs could get diagnosed even at home level or from the garage at home. So, there's really no limitations. It's all about efficiency. It's all about throughput and really, the customer experience. And that's where it's, my goal is to never have anybody in my waiting room, and then I went to actually Central Florida and visited a store and their mobile operation. And he took me to his waiting room. He goes, listen, there's nobody here for a reason because all our vans are out and about. And I'm like, I never thought of it that way. And I love it. So that's my goal.
You bring up shop throughput too. I think that's the unmeasured metric.
Absolutely.
Right? Like how much more capacity have I created by not having some of that stuff in my store? Measure that.
Absolutely.
Well, how much more are you putting through your shop because of?
For sure. I mean, there's nothing more frustrating than a customer comes to your repair facility thinking that the repair is going to be done only to think that we have to order parts. So why should that ever happen, right? So if we get that phone call and somebody's having issues with their car, we can deploy the van in a perfect world, diagnose, understand what part needs to be ordered, and then the next time we go pick up their car or we can fix it right in their driveway. So, it's just a better customer experience all the way around.
Karl, the one thing that every one of these mobile service dealers has in common, they all started with one van. Okay, they had one vehicle, and then the 2, then the 3, then the 5, and then you know what's happened since then.
Right.
How important on the scalability side, because they likely will scale once they have success, is that software component to be able to offer all the things that a consumer and a dealership would expect.
Yeah, so the software, in addition to creating automation, it creates a process, right? And so if you start with one van and you build a digital process, then the scalability is much more generic and easier. If you build a manual process around 2 or 3 vans, you can get there, you can add another human. Ed did this. Hey, we have 4 vans. Okay, we need another service advisor. We have 8 vans. We need another service advisor. When I first met Ed and his team, they're like, our problem is this office. We have all these awesome service advisors. I don't really want to hire any more of them, and I can't find them. I need to make them more efficient. They're our obstacle to scalability. And so the advantage for a new dealer is when you build that software, when you bring software in, it builds a process which is scalable. And so it makes the second van, the third van, the fourth van so much easier. And we see dealers, our customers are adding vans in the range of 4 to 6 months. So month one van, and then from a business growth standpoint, at a reasonable path, like not super amount of marketing, not Herculean efforts, they can add another van sort of month 4, 5, month 10, month 12. And so within a year, they're sort of, if they have an aggressive program where we have ambitious goals, they could be at 3 or 4 vans pretty easily without like, hey, these are not, again, Herculean efforts on the management team.
Right. No, I want to bring Jim on the road with me. I think he had the perfect response. So I love his answer. I love that, anything you can perform that's not on a lift can be done. I think Ed has several examples where he put some AC technology on the back of one of the vans and can go do that work in hot Florida. So, but yeah, Jim, you might have a part-time gig there with us.
I think something for dealers, if you're a dealer or a principal out there thinking about starting, I think when you think about the customer, consumers versus fleets is a different choice.
Yes.
I think you can be much more aggressive with a fleet. You go to an HVAC company, they have a fenced in lot, there's no traffic, there's no kids around, right? Ripping a bumper off there is like, that's easy. Right now, you want to do it in your customer's driveway. That may be something that's different. I got to think about it differently, right? And so we often talk about customers. What's the consumer sequence of services or list and know what the foods are.
But what it is for us with your software, Ed and I know this, is data is king, right? So when are you going to add the next fair? So the data you provide us
Right.
through efficiency is that helps you scale your business. Correct?
100%.
Mark, I want to come to you. Quick lightning round, just kind of thinking about the experience that you've described with customers, and what would you say has been the most surprising feedback that you've had?
Recently, Troy and I talked about this, last week. We look at a lot of studies in my role now. We look at data. It's map driven for us. And there was recently a study that we shared together that 92% of people that had a mobile service done was likely to have another one done. Now, I was a dealer principal for a long time. I don't know I did 92% of anything. Right? So if something's telling me it's going to be 92% my retention, why aren't you doing it? Right? I mean, so that's the biggest surprise for me. And the fact that, we look at a lot of survey data. I haven't seen a bad mobile service. I mean, I'm sure there's one out there, but, I haven't seen one. I know maybe you can tell me that you had one, but, not too many if you did, right?
Right, exactly. I think, again, it goes back to the customer experience, and, it's, and again, we're kind of working through our first cycle of people actually going out and visiting and doing mobile service. So it's a wow factor, right? So when we first started at my stores, I actually put myself on the service advisor line and answered phone calls and the incoming calls. And it was amazing. I really, and I hate to admit this, I don't know that much about cars, but I can sell the customer experience. And the first thing I had to say is, hey, listen, what if you don't bring it to us? What if I come to you and my mobile service van? And the first, word was, wow, you guys can do that? I'm like, absolutely. So then it kind of got my brain rethinking and looking at it, is if we're looking at all our scheduled appointments coming in the store, number one, you really look at the cars that are coming in that we love to buy out of our service lane as well. And then going to them, and it all kind of encompasses and ties everything together with what you're trying to do in the back end and the front end and the customer retention and service and getting your repeat customers and sales. So I look at it from a whole 360 view.
And feedback wise, what have you seen be the most surprising?
Well, our customers don't typically get to see much about how service is done. And it isn't just the owner of the vehicle, it's their kids, and it's getting them involved and giving them a quick overview of the van and what we're there to do and those things. And to watch a kid help rotate tires or whatever it may be is just enlightening to get them involved. When they get them involved, and they're also preaching that, hey, why do they come back? So it's getting that customer involved as well.
Karl, Troy?
Yeah, I think the thing that's most interesting is that the technician becomes the face of the brand, and that's new, right? Technicians are in the back; they don't talk to customers. As we coach dealers to come on board, like, look, your technicians need customer service skills, and it's an opportunity. And customers are inspired by seeing people show up, do physical work, and deliver high quality service. And so it's this extra brand accelerant that the dealer has by sending the technician to their driveway, sending someone who is engaging and personal. They don't need to be like the best salesperson in the world. They just need to smile, say hello, say thank you, be clean and neat, pick up, and just do great work. But doing that in the driveway has such an impact on the customer retention. And the metrics out of Bozar Ford are spectacular compared to the industry. And it's because they're going out and doing these things. They have 40 technicians hitting 200, 150, 200 customers a day in their driveway, right? It's not like they're even moving through the building, right? And so I think that's the thing that's super exciting. And you're going to see that more dealers talk about that because it's like month 6 when they sort of see that.
And I'll just close it out with, it's driving retention. And, Ed has one of the highest retentions in the nation at 70%, which is outstanding. And we know that mobile's contributing and driving to that number. So there's certainly a convenience. And once you get one mobile service done, your next service, that's what you want. So we're super excited about directionally where mobile's heading. Grateful to be on a panel again like this today to talk more about mobile.
And Troy, we're grateful to you and Spiffy for all that you do for the industry and for these gentlemen who have really been the pioneers in mobile service. Mark, I think back to the early days, when we were asked how this was going to pencil. And, I think we've worked far beyond that.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, it's a business case now. We can carry a business case to any dealer principally and say, if you invest, you'll get your return out of this if that's what concern you, right? And you don't want to miss it because we miss. That's why it's difficult, right? You don't want this to be the next difficult, but we should keep our customers and all our customers with good service, and that's what this provides.
One of the hottest things happening now in retail automotive. I want to thank Mark Mickens, Ed Roberts, Jim Elder, and the team from Spiffy here. We're at Lithia, the Suburban Collection. Sarah and I are here in Troy, Michigan, and we will be right now.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Fix Ops Roundtable. I'm Bella Smylie, Northwood University student, joined here with...
I'm Marisa DiPonio, also Northwood University student.
And today we are joined back with Mike, John, and Cody. Thank you so much for being here again. So today we kind of want to talk about Lithia and the Suburban Collection and how it all kind of got started. Is there any insight that you have on that?
I mean, I could tell you about the Lithia side. Maybe you guys could take the Suburban side a bit, but we align pretty well history-wise. We've both been around for a long time. I mean, this year, coming up into 2026, is going to be 80 years that Lithia has been around. So we were started in 1946 in a little town in Southern Oregon called Ashland, right? It's like at the base of a mountain. And we were founded by a gentleman named Walt DeBoer. Walt happens to be our current CEO, Brian's grandfather, right? So it went from Walt DeBoer to Sid DeBoer to Brian DeBoer, who's our current CEO, right? So we've literally been a family-operated business for 80 years. And I think that's something that a lot of people don't realize about Lithia is they think it's a big publicly traded company, but they forget that we've had, really been operated by the same family since the beginning. And a lot of I would say our humble roots, kind of permeate the culture of the business today, which is really cool. And it aligns really well with, another family business that we joined together with, when we acquired Suburban, 2021, going on 5 years almost, which is crazy to think about that. But, Suburban was started shortly after that, right down the street, right?
Yeah, 2 years later. So I think Suburban would have been celebrating their 78th year in business. 1948, I believe, was the date. Started by Richard Fisher, then David Fisher Sr. transitioned the company, and then really started to expand. And they started with a single point Oldsmobile dealership in Birmingham, Michigan. And similar trajectory with Lithia, just started to expand. And shortly after, I think 1979 was the big expansion where David Fisher Sr. Took over, and they, quickly became Michigan's largest dealer group. So, and we joined forces. David Fisher Jr. said it was almost like when Amazon bought Whole Foods. Right? Whole Foods was still a big existing business, but now it was powered by Amazon, and, through scale and everything like that, it became this big monstrosities.
Yeah. As time went on, it's pretty wild looking back at the parallels of what, Lithia has started and what Suburban has started, and, in different locations, and then how they expanded throughout, pretty much the nation, and as time goes on and decades go past, right, things change, and the stores started just accumulating, and you can hear that we're the Suburban Collection. Well, now we're Lithia, powered by Lithia, but still Suburban, right? And the identity of where they started and where we are today, it's an incredible thing.
All of your points, just amazing and so interesting to learn. And congratulations on almost 80 years. It's a major accomplishment. So going back to the biggest turning point, something big, and you all said, so many different things from, family business, from loyalty, from, combining Lithia and Suburban into making it all what it is today. What would you say the biggest turning point was that, brought us to where we are now?
John,
I could take that. I would say on the Suburban Collection side, it was probably that 1979 time frame when David Fisher Sr. took over, and how quickly they just expanded in Southeast Michigan, growing the empire. And I would say on the Lithia side, there's been so many turning points, right?
Got a good one probably on the Lithia side. So on the Lithia side, we were a small market dealer group for many years. So we were known as almost unknown. I would say that we were probably the most unknown of the public dealer groups for years because we operated in a lot of small markets in the Pacific Northwest, right? We made an acquisition, which was one of the largest acquisitions in the history of automotive at the time, of DCH Automotive. And DCH Automotive was big on, the East Coast. John's from New Jersey. This was a lot of his competing stores, right? When he came up in the car business, were DCH stores, and then on the West Coast. So California and New York and New Jersey primarily, right? After we had that acquisition and joined forces with the DCH stores, that's really when we learned how to operate in the big markets with big stores and really learn how to build better relationships with our OEM partners, because that's one thing that I think a lot of people don't realize is that if you want to grow, whether you're a private or a publicly held dealership, you have to have a good relationship with not only your customers and your employees, but also with your manufacturer partners, right? And we learned a lot more about how to be a better partner to our OEMs from the DCH folks. And I think that was probably a big turning point for Lithia as an organization, because we went from these small market stores to, hey, we can pretty much do anything. And I think that was probably the biggest turning point.
Absolutely. You both kind of touched on the way that you changed your approach from those small markets to those big markets. How would you say that your business has kind of evolved to meet the changing customer expectations throughout those 5 years?
We've changed a lot. I mean, rapidly over the last several years. Right?
Yeah, I'll take it to one specific store. We had an acquisition back in 2016, right? And it was a Toyota store, right? Great brand. The store was ran by another a great company right here locally, right? And things changed, and the store changed hands, and to see the growth of that store was pretty wild. But what we had identified is there is so much customer demand out there, and we really need to figure out how to get there. And you can see it in just one small store to we have we'll call it a metro that we look after. Then we look at a state, right? And then we look at the nation, and there's so much opportunity that we have out there. And Lithia as a whole, they really open our eyes with that and say, we can do much more with what we had today. So
we're leaning into things like AI, right? That we, wasn't even on the radar 3 years ago, right? 3 years ago, wasn't on the radar.
Yes.
It's implemented into probably every one of our dealerships in some way, if not multiple ways right now. I believe we just did a panel talking about mobile service, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mobile service pickup and delivery. That wasn't on anybody's radar before COVID. Now that's a critical part of our business. At our Ford stores, 20% of our ROs, right, our repair orders come from mobile service now, right? We're starting to see that grow in our other brands also. So really leaning into something that Jeff Bezos said, it was start with the customer and work backwards. And I think if we start with the customer and what they're looking for, right, and then we kind of back into this instead of saying, here's the process that's easy for us that we like, we want to try to fit you into this process. We're really trying to learn and evolve and grow as a company to figure out how do we serve the customer and meet them wherever, whenever, and however they need us to.
As a marketer, hearing that, music to my ears, that's exactly the goal. That's always what we're pushing for. And, to really wrap things up with every amazing thing you guys have shared with us today. I know, John, you talked about how in 1979, the big acquisition was, a big turning point. And, 80 years, family company, the, combination of both Lithia and Suburban. But overall, even from, 80 years ago or even now today with just what you mentioned with AI and new things, what historical milestone specifically, something specifically, maybe not the biggest turning point, but a milestone that, will always be historic and important?
Yeah, my biggest milestone was the acquisition in 2021. That really just changed things for Suburban in a very positive way. So that's probably the one that I would say sticks out to me the most. And then on everything that I've been seeing past that, with Lithia, there's just been a countless amount of milestones. When we look at all the horizontals and verticals that we call them internally, the getting into driveway and green cars, how we're thinking ahead with EVs. And I love what Mike said, we're trying to meet the consumer where they are today. Because, not everybody wants to have their car serviced at home. They still want the traditional dealership experience. And, we have to look at that and say, how can we make it better and better and better? Again, just whatever the consumer wants, that's got to do what we.
Oh, absolutely. Well, thank you all so much for being here with us today. Marisa and I have enjoyed it. so extensively. I think the value and the insight that you provide is most helpful to everyone in the industry, but also to us Northwood students as well. So big thank you to the three of you.
Absolutely.
Here today.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, and we'll see you next time on the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. I'm Connor Kirby, here joined by Vanessa Collins, with some very prominent business leaders, starting with Elliott.
Afternoon, Elliott Ryan, General Sales Manager at Suburban Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram Troy.
I'm Shawn, Leline, General Manager, Suburban Mazda of Troy.
Oh, Dustin Ciccarelli, General Manager at Suburban Subaru of Troy.
Mike Bakaturski, Fixed Ops Director, Land Rover Troy.
And Shawn, tell us about your journey and how you identify emerging leaders inside your organization.
Well, I started a little different than most. I came out of actually Fixed Ops. So I started as, I've been in the dealership role for a long time, but I came out as a service director over at our Chrysler store in Farmington Hills, then our regional Fixed Ops director for Lithia, Suburban Lithia, and then had the opportunity to go back in store about a year and a half ago as the general manager of Suburban Mazda. In regard to looking for potential new leaders, it's work ethic, it's personal ownership, and how they in customer service and what they do day to day.
Thank you for sharing.
Awesome. So my next question, anybody can take a stab at it first, but what mentorship or development programs did you experience during your time growing through the ranks at your dealership or within Lithia as an organization? And what opportunities similar to mentorship do you offer your employees today?
I think I'll take that. I mean, just as of recent, I was granted the opportunity to work with Lithia's AMP program, which was a leadership program developed through the corporation to, identify future leaders and give us a lot of insight when it comes to different departments, growing our people, really embodying what Lithia is all about, and working our core values to the extreme. So
That's awesome. Congratulations. That's a great program to graduate from.
Yeah, for me, I think it's, we have 300 plus dealerships in the country, and we have a lot of support. I mean, I've reached out to Dustin numerous times and other general managers coming out of Fixed Ops that had a lot to learn about the variable side of the business. Yeah. Between our platform GM, who sat with me, weekly, going over used cars, procurement, how to manage that used car inventory, new cars, and then even our regional VP, Mike Cavanaugh, that guidance. What's nice about Suburban Lithia is we have leadership meetings, we have summits for fixed operations, used cars, finance. So taking all that in, that's kind of grown me over the last year and a half to just become a better leader, and also just running the store a lot cleaner, easier.
Yeah, one thing that we do have available, like to Shawn's point, is there's no shortage of other leaders who are available to you at any time to give you best advice in any department. So if it's Fixed Ops, if it's new cars, used cars, we also have very many brands, and we all share brands. So if somebody's doing better than you, they're always eager to pick up the phone and give you advice on anything that you need to overcome, or just any advice at all. So I had a question for Shawn and Mike. How do you guys determine whether somebody is ready to be, a service manager or next up in service, or service lane manager? I've just been wondering that because, service is one of the, the most difficult areas to excel at, and having a service leader like you, Mike, they're very few and far in between. So how have you guys been able to find that right person for those roles, or how did you how do you know who's right to work for you to make sure that you have the best department?
I think I can just use my personal experience from that. I emerged I ran the BDC for 19 of our stores. So traditionally a contact center environment, but it ran very well that I was afforded time with Fixed Ops directors, service managers to really engage with them and learn from them. And I think for me, what I would be looking for now that I'm in that fixed role is, it's all about the customer. and finding solutions. I don't think any customer truly cares what you can't do for them. It's always what you can do for them and provide a solution. Because ultimately we're always here for our customers and to problem solve. So for me, I'm looking for that person that never says no, always finds the solution, and never cracks really under the pressure, because there's a lot of pressure to find those solutions, and sometimes you just have to take a step back and look for that solution and kind of really think critical. So critical thinker, and kind of that's what I try to do, and that's, I think, what kind of afforded me the opportunity to jump into fixed from that BDC world.
Yeah, I would agree with Mike. A lot of it's customer service. We have to have customer service. That's our number one priority with the service side of it. And problem solving is a big part of it, but managing your time. I mean, service is, where a service manager gets in at 10 after 6 every day, and he's there all day till about 5. But it's a fast-moving, fast-paced business, and just a coach, right? You have to coach your team. How do you build a team? And if you have that right coach and that right leader in there, I mean, that's that. I always look for people that more customer service skills and coaching ability than anything. So, in time management, that's my number one for me.
This is a question for everybody, but how does the DART program strengthen the larger business?
I think ultimately that's like just a core of like developing the people that we want out of our company. Like we want to develop the best of the best, right? We want to identify those that have an actual passion for this business, which is hard to find in a lot of ways. I think that's what's great. We partner with Northwood and a lot of other regional schooling that helps us find and identify those guys and those guys and girls that have the passion and that want to be a part of this business. And like you see it, what comes through them is they're just amazing individuals, and they've done super well, and they embrace the culture, they embrace Lithia, and they embrace everything that we do here. So I think it's an absolute huge impact for our business.
I agree. Yeah, I think any one of us would take a DART program student right now, and I've been lobbying for a year now. So, so yeah, very good program, and yeah, it is hard to find in this business. Generally people that are as passionate that we have become in this business. So, finding people at such a young age that have already decided this is pretty much what we would like to do, that's huge. Yeah, that's huge.
Well, you're in luck, Dustin, because the DART program is growing for sure. I know Diego's making a big point to really pull from Northwood students too. I mean, you've seen it yourself. Yeah. These Northwood students, they're talented. They love automotive. They're passionate about it. Like you said, Elliott, it's hard to find somebody passionate about this business, and you'll definitely find that at Northwood. But my last question is, do any of you have a success story that you want to share from any of the programs within Suburban, whether that be DART or a unique program specific to your store?
It's kind of tough because we're all kind of success stories. I mean, Elliott started in sales, and now it's GSM, and most likely, I mean, Mike started as a BDC, then BDC manager for years.
It's amazing.
Now he's a service director. So I think our careers in general up here are kind of the proof and that these are success stories. And we've had mentors. Mike used to one-on-one mentor Elliott for a while. So there's just a lot of success stories up here.
Absolutely. I think Mike's saying is the right butts in the right seats.
Right people in the right seats.
Right people, right seats. And I think now that I'm in the fixed operations director role, after being a service manager for a year, but had that exposure for over, I think December makes 8 years with the business. So it's been a great
Congratulations.
experience. Yeah.
And you're from different departments too, BDC, service, sales.
Right.
Yeah. It doesn't matter what department. You can grow your way up, expand your knowledge.
And that's what's nice about this business. I mean, you could start as a porter in this business, work your way up to be a general manager, even owner eventually at some of these places. So that's what's great about this business. If you're passionate, you want to work hard, you can move up fast in this business. You just have to be willing to put the time and effort in. You're not going to get it right away. But
take advantage of opportunities.
Yeah, there's a lot of opportunities out there in this business. It's great. I love it.
Especially our company, because we have so many avenues, so many other stores, so many ability. I mean, Shawn started with a Chrysler store. Now he's a general manager of a Mazda store.
Wow.
I'm still at the same store I started in sales at, but that's not very common. Usually it's we move somewhere else. And
think the bigger picture too is that like we have all really taken on this culture, and the idea that like we are growing, growth powered by people is one of our biggest mantras, right? And like we all live and breathe it, and we all want to grow better individuals. We want to have successors that are gonna, you know, heighten, that they're gonna be better than us. And so we look for that, and we drive for it, and we you know, that's why we partner with, again, Northwood. We partner with all these great resources to find people that are going to success us, and they're going to make our business even better and better and better. So, but that's like just deep ingrained within us, and that's huge and different. That sets us apart from anyone that really is in this automotive world, is that we just are different.
I like what you said about living and breathing the core values, because that's so true here at Lithia. It's like they're not just about us. You truly embody that every single day, all four of them. The motto too. It's amazing.
Well, my favorite one is improve constantly, and that's what I like to do. So
that is my
that's
favorite
what I
too,
like to see.
I will say. Amazing. Well, thank you so much for joining us here today. Taking the time out of your busy days to tell us about your story, your success story. You guys are the right butts in the right seats, and we just really appreciate you providing insight for today's episode.
Thank you very much.
I'm Vanessa Collins. I'm joined by Connor Kirby, and stay tuned because we are going to be right back. Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. Today we are at Suburban Land Rover of Troy, and we have an amazing group of panelists with us here today. I'm Julia Leitz, a student at Northwood University, and with me is
Dustin Ciccarelli, General Manager at Suburban Subaru of Troy.
Dane Tocco, General Manager at Buick GMC of Troy.
Lane Pulaski, I'm a recruiter for the collection.
And I'm Michael Stutman, also a Northwood University student. So I'm going to give it back to Julie over there, and she'll get started.
Well, thank you all for joining us here today. I know we're super excited to have you here with us, as well as learn more about donations and charitable giving. So with that being said, how does Lithia and the Suburban Collection really choose what causes they would like to support?
Yeah, I mean, I think a big thing that we've all as a group, you know, decided is if we're going to choose a charitable donation or cause, it's got to be something that one of us or someone in the group believes in, because we don't like just, you know, hey, here's a check. We want to be involved, and we want our employees and our people to care about it too. It helps our culture. It helps us get closer with the community. It just lets us really get more involved. So I think that's our biggest thing. It's got to be something someone on our team believes in, is going to be a part of, for us to get involved with.
Yeah, no, 100%. That's great.
So what recent charity project had the biggest impact, would you say?
We're currently working on it's Blue Sleigh with the Troy Police. So all of our stores adopted a family in the local area, which I think is really exciting. They give our stores the list of things that they're looking for, and you get the gifts for them. So that's really cool because it's something that's in our own backyard versus, you know, helping people that might be in a different state. And then another one that I really like that we do is something that he got us started with. It's Walk for the Red. They help with firefighters that are battling lung cancer. And so that one's really near and dear to our hearts. First responders are always something that we like to try and help out with.
Yeah, that one's been
doing that.
So this was our 5th year, and collectively over the 5 years, the collection has donated well over $100,000. Wow. It's a full-time firefighter out of the state of Michigan that started an organization called Neighbors United, and he walks once a year. He starts in one city in Macomb and walks 140 miles across the state in full gear, and raises money for
Firefighters.
Thank you. Raising money for firefighters. Sorry, it's close to me because it's when I'm not here at the dealerships, I volunteer for a local fire department and as a firefighter and EMT. So it's something that's dear to my heart. We help out, and a lot of the stores get involved.
Very cool.
No, I think that's wonderful. I mean, you know, giving back to the community is huge, and that, you know, not only stands out for and hasn't been included, but also for the others involved as well. And so I think that's great, especially with the fire department. My dad's brilliant, so doing that is great. But kind of jumping into that, you know, you do a lot of great things and get a lot of people involved. So
how do the employees participate in all of that, in giving back and with their volunteer efforts?
Yeah, I can probably take that one. So I work at the Subaru store, and obviously Subaru has a long history of giving back to not just the community, but different pretty much primarily 5 local or national charities. But the people that we have that work at our store, we don't want just to be good at what they do. We do want that. We want them to be good salespeople. We want them to be good service advisors, good technicians, but we also want them to be passionate about giving back to the community. So we have 5 pillars at Subaru and 5 events every year. And the employees aren't required to come, but they all volunteer. And we go to a local hospital. We do a local dog adoption event. We go to a local school, and every year we supply supplies for the teachers at one of our local elementary schools every year. And every year we hear how great it is that we're able to go and help them out. And especially the principal at the school is very thankful for everything for the teachers have, because they don't really have enough supplies every year, and they usually end up covering out of pocket for the additional supplies for their students. So I could go on on the things that we do. I mean, Dane and I have worked together and late for years on ways that we can support our community and through Subaru, and our employees love volunteering and being a part of that and just helping the community.
And it's something that Lithia too is not just Suburban. Lithia stands behind. We actually we give every employee in the company 1 paid day off a year to go volunteer. So every employee in the company gets a volunteer day off, and they can go pick a volunteer project of their choice, and they get paid for it. So it's the entire company stands behind us helping out, especially within our local communities that our dealerships are at.
That's where you.
Well, we know you guys like giving back, especially in your backyard. So how would you say the community responded to your charitable, presence, but specifically the local community?
Lane, you could probably speak to this, because I know, social media is a big thing to do now. And I think we I don't want to say advertise it, but we put it on the spotlight on social media in a lot of cases for the community to see not only what we're doing, but to get them involved as well. And we've had a lot of attention from the community to reach out and say, hey, how do I get involved with that next year? And Lane used to run a bunch of our social media, so she saw a lot of that firsthand that you've made me speak to.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like he said, a lot of people will comment things on our social media pages. But I've even, while being in store, have had customers walk up to me and mention, oh, we saw you at the trunk or treat event that you were sponsoring and things like that. So it just kind of depends on what exactly that they, connected with us on. But I definitely hear word of mouth, and that also does online.
And it goes back to our being involved aspect in it too. It's not just our name on a banner that we sponsored something, and we have actual team members there working in the event. The community's going to interact with them. Yeah. Right? So, and Dustin knows that better than anyone, because his customers are probably some of the most loyal customers in our collection, in our group. And I think your customers get involved with your events all the time.
Yeah, so we have super ambassadors that like to come to our events with us to support, but just volunteer with us. So, usually out of the 6 events that we do per year, we'll get a few of just our regular customers that like to be involved, because that's how passionate they are about what we do to give back to the community.
Very cool. It's awesome to see the local community really gravitating towards it and embracing it.
Yes, definitely. Well, thank you all for joining us today. I think it's great to hear about all the ways that you all give back to the community, and it really definitely, goes a long way, and you see that. So thank you all for joining us. And with that, I'm Julia Elise with Mike from Roken University, and see you next time.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. I'm Bella Smylie, joined here with
Isabella Stevens, and we are so excited to be here in Troy, Michigan with the one and onlys, Dane Taylor and Shawn Leline. Will you guys go around and kind of tell us a little bit about yourselves and what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Dane Taylor. I'm the regional operations trainer here for Lithia Motors for the central region and for the Northeast. So I do all of our sales training, our service advisor training, essentially everyone in a customer facing role with the exception of the parts counter. I make sure they understand how to take care of our customers.
Great. Shawn Leline, General Manager, Suburban Mazda of Troy. So my background's a little bit more unique than most. I came out of Fix Ops. So I started as a service manager here 18 years ago with Suburban, now Lithia, and worked my way up through service director, regional Fix Operations Director, and now General Manager of our analysis firm.
That's amazing. And you're both here to tell us about your technical school partnerships, growing your own technicians. Amazing.
That is absolutely amazing. So how did this partnership with the technical school initially begin?
A lot of it's just reaching out to the schools, or the schools will reach out to us. So one of my favorites is a local high school program. It's Oakland Schools Technical Campuses in Oakland County, Michigan. So there's about 5-6 campuses locally in Oakland County. And it's just high school students that go to high school. They're juniors and seniors in high school. And what they do is they go to school for normal traditional high school for half a day. And then they go to a technical school where they're learning automotive, collision, culinary and such, heating and cooling. So we pulled some students out of there. It's a great program, great instructors.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's such great, like, real life experience that these high schoolers are getting to work with. Now, Dane, can you tell us about the primary mission?
Well, in the industry, as everyone knows, there's a shortage of technicians. Kids don't grow up, wrenching on cars in the garage with dad anymore like they used to, and really you can't with the technology that's in these vehicles today. So for us, it's a great way to source the future and who's going to be in our shop and the technicians that we have. And it's a great program because they get a mentor and they get to learn real world experience, and we help them out every way we can with paying for tools, and we do a lot of different things. But for us, I mean, it's a great way to source, have a nice pipeline of people coming through our shops. So
Yeah, that's great. And do you know the average amount of people that are going through these technical schools and actually ending up with these dealerships right outside of high school?
I'd lean on Shawn for that.
I don't have exact numbers, but I mean, there's a lot of kids that go to these programs. And then the local college program, community college programs too. So we have a lot of those students that are in our dealerships. With having 35 dealerships in Michigan, we get to pull a lot of those students out and into our stores. And a lot of those programs, we start them as oil change technicians, either it's still in high school, part-time. And then after high school, it's a great program where, I mean, I pulled a student out of when I was in the store as a service director. We had a great student. We did tours of the dealership for all the classes, and it was fantastic. So, and we didn't just showcase the fixed operations side of it. We showcased the county, sales,
the whole dealership,
because there's a lot of job opportunities at a dealership. People really don't know what. This student, he started as a loop tech, Zach. He's still at our Chrysler store in Farmington. Graduated high school. He came to me. He goes, "Hey, I want to be an apprentice tech." All right, I go, "I need 2 days." And he 2 days later, he was apprenticing with 2 master technicians. Wow. 9 months later, he goes, "I want to go on my own, a flat rate."
That's amazing.
And this first week, he turned 60 flat rate hours, and he has.
Wow, that's an incredible opportunity, especially for straight out of high school.
Yeah, I know you both kind of touched on that hands-on learning experience at such a young age, when initially you wouldn't touch a vehicle until you're into that specialty school. So being able to get those hands-on experience with how you talked about the partnership, and then how you, Dane, kind of touched on the processes with everything.
Yeah.
How is this initiative building the next generation of automotive professionals in the industry?
Well, it's like you said, it's the real world experience. It's the hands-on. I mean, you can learn a lot in the classroom. You can learn a lot from watching videos online, but like to be in a shop, to work on a real customer's car, to be able to diagnose and do multi-point inspections and be able to identify what common, issues are on certain makes and models. And it just gives you that real world, experience. And I think that's the most important thing, is that it's actual hands-on apprenticeship learning, and there's incentive for our existing techs to mentor somebody, and help develop the future of the industry in our shops. I just think it's great.
Right. What I think a lot of these students don't realize is how much they can grow in the industry and how much they can make.
Yeah, yes.
I mean, a technician can make a lot of money, which is fantastic, right? I mean, the stigmatism, the technician is like always getting his hands dirty. I mean, most of my techs now, their hands are cleaner than mine sometimes. So it's just like, no, they're working on, they need to go electrical, drivability. There's so much technology in these vehicles. So, how do you, it's a lot of that you can learn in the classroom, but you have to learn hands-on.
Yeah.
Because every situation's different.
Absolutely. And to, I've worked previously with automotive professionals, people in high school that are interested in the automotive industry when they go to full tank at Northwood University.
Yep.
And the biggest thing that we've noticed too is that they just don't really know what's happening. They don't know all the different aspects, all the different sides of automotive.
Where do you begin?
Yes,
Right,
and they
yeah.
have like this
I
very
completely
fixed
agree.
mindset
Yeah.
on
We
what
see
technicians.
that, yes. I think with the students that even come through the auto show being at Northwood, you see it so clearly is they're so interested, but it's that initial starting point of where do I start? How do I get going with this process?
And in today's day and age, we can't wait for them to come to us.
Yeah.
Right? Like we have to actively
Yes.
be going and engaging and trying to source, these people that show an interest in it. And, if we can get them, when they're in those developmental years and they don't have a career set up yet that they're coming from, and, we can start them off on the right path with the right people, with the right tools, and that's where the success of it all comes from. Right.
Amazing. Now, Shawn, you touched on Zach's story a little bit earlier, but do you have any other success stories that stand out to you?
Yeah, actually, at Mouse's store, we had Noah. He actually went to another local community college, just graduated. We've hired him at Zurich, and he went through. So we have a little process with RCR. Just, okay, we're going to start trying to do a lube rack for a few weeks. You get your with it master technician, and he's doing really well right now. So it's just, he's 22.
Yeah.
So he's he's got a good start to his career path. And I always ask my service managers too, is like, hey, you need to meet with them monthly, get a game plan. Hey, this is what we're going to work on. So they know, right?
Yeah.
They want everyone wants a career path, of course.
Absolutely.
So in technicians, especially
Absolutely.
they want a career path.
Absolutely. Dane, have you seen any success stories kind of come out of the parts area with the parts counter, the parts department, everything, the way that even correlates to the technicians themselves?
Well, without parts, there is no service.
Correct.
The biggest customer that the parts department has is our service department. So, it's all a partnership. It's all, it's like the gears of a watch. If one gear stops working, nobody knows what time it is. So, I can't speak myself to any specifics of, individual success stories, but there's nothing but growth opportunities in our dealership. So,
Absolutely.
I mean, I can tell you how many people that started off detailing cars or on a lube rack that are now, service managers, service directors, shop foremen, and our mission statement here at Lithia is growth powered by people. So it's all about growing from within. Don't get me wrong, there's times we have to bring in people from the outside, but where we see the most success, where we see the most retention, is growing our own people. And if you're a technician, there's no salary cap. It's not like,
Yeah,
you
it's just
can
the
make,
hours that you churn. Yeah.
you can make as much
Yes.
money as you want,
Yeah.
and that's the thing. It's, you don't need to have a 4-year degree and all this stuff, which is great, but it's not a requirement. And you can make more money and live next to doctors and lawyers without going to the 10 years of school that they went to.
Right.
So.
It's amazing.
Well, thank you guys so much for coming in and speaking with us. And we're just so lucky to have you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming.
The insight and the value that you bring to the industry is so helpful to students like Isabella and I over at Northwood University, and just to everybody in the industry as well. So thank you both so much for your insights.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And thank you to our viewers. We will see you next time for the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
and welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. I'm Bella Smylie, joined with...
I'm Marisa DiPonio.
And today we have these lovely gentlemen here to kind of talk about how Lithia and the Suburban Collection is a top workplace. So gentlemen, if you could please introduce yourselves and then a little bit of your background.
Dane Tocco, General Manager at Suburban Buick GMC.
Dustin Ciccarelli, General Manager at Suburban Subaru of Troy.
And I'm the other Dane Taylor. I'm the regional operations trainer here. So I do all of our sales, service, leadership training, BDC training for the central region and the northeast region, which makes up about 80 stores. I've been in the car business for 26 years. I've been here with this group for 16 of those years, sold cars for a lot of years. And for the last 10 years, I've been in a training roles.
That is absolutely amazing. So being in the industry for so long, what sets Lithia and the Suburban Collection apart as a top workplace to be at in the industry?
Yeah, I think, and I started from the corporate side, so I got both sides of view of it. And it's the opportunities we have. Being as large as we are and the amount of different positions and stores in different states, we use that to our advantage. We have a ton of opportunity, and we're not afraid to share our talent. So if I have someone in my store that's doing really, really well, and maybe I don't have a position for them there, I can call Dustin or another one of our leaders and say, hey, listen, this guy's ready to move up. Do you have a spot? Like, he deserves to get promoted. We can move him around. Or if you have someone that says they want to move down the floor, we got stores down there. We can send you down there, get you a spot down there. So
go to the UK if you want.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
The opportunities are just endless with Lithia, how big we are. So it really creates a good talent pool for us and a good talking point to any candidates that we're talking to.
That's amazing.
Yeah, well, speaking of talent and all the incredible opportunities and, from both sides, I feel like that's exactly what you want to hear. Good community, connection. So how do you select, and attract this top talent? How do you select someone to choose to be lucky enough to work here and to get all these opportunities and be able to go to the UK if you want to and all these types of things? So how do you attract and retain that top talent?
Yeah, I mean, that's difficult. We do have the DART program now, which is great,
excellent.
Dane has Matthew Dashke working for him, who is definitely going to be an all-star in the business. It is difficult to, identify and, kind of pinpoint who is going to be successful in the business. So, part of the reason that we can pinpoint that is Dane's extensive sales training. He definitely gives us insight into what we're looking at in every department, right? Habits, are they going to be a culture fit, things like that. But really, it's once they stay here, providing them a path to success is huge, right? So the people that really want to be successful here show us that early, and we can kind of see that, and then providing those individuals a path to success, what the future looks like, managing by thirds with them. These are things that we can kind of see kind of early, and it's cultivating those people and really having them embrace our core values here at Lithia.
Yeah, I think another thing too that it needs to be said is Northwood. I mean, Northwood is a great source for us. Dustin, you went to Northwood. I'm an honorary professor up in Northwood. We have not only do we have our DART program, but we have our DART internship program. And I know we had a lot of students from Northwood. A lot of them were freshmen and sophomore that came and spent the summers working in our stores. And then, they go back to school, and, we make sure that we stay in touch with them. And, the goal is that we provide them an opportunity for a career once they're done with school, so that they come right out and they don't have to worry about a job search or a job hunt, going on multiple interviews. We already know them because they've worked with us already and spent time with us. And, we know what they're all about, and we know what their drives and their motivators are. And we just provide opportunities for them. And I got to tip my cap to Northwood University for providing such a great pool of talented individuals and future leaders of the automotive industry.
I know that Marisa and I, being Northwood students, hats tipped back right to you for creating those opportunities and those spaces for us to truly get our hands on the industry, but also to excel in the industry as well. And you kind of touched on how students coming right out of college, you go through the DART program and everything like that. What does the career ladder essentially look like for someone that is joining Lithia today?
Yeah. and I can speak to that a little bit, is I think we have to change our approach on developing people within. I think in the past, a lot of our mindsets were, hey, take someone that has this experience and they got to go to this department next, or they got to do this next. And reality is we got to start looking at our own employees or candidates that we're talking to and saying, hey, what qualities can they bring to the table that could provide a benefit to the store or organization? And one of those is customer experience, right? We're all about customer experience now. We got to provide the best experience. And sometimes those people have no automotive, background at all. And end up being our best people. So I think inside, and when people are talking to us and they're in sales or it's an order, it's like, hey, what do you want to do? We have all these different positions. Where do you see yourself, and how can I help develop you here and talk to you to do that? But it takes a lot out of us, because now you have to set aside time every week, every month, and actually spend some one-on-one time, and not be afraid to spend the time to train that person, rather than, hey, they either sink or swim and move on. So it takes commitment from us to see those qualities of those individuals and promote within and help teach them and learn from amongst ourselves.
I think it's amazing. I think it really aligns with Lithia's mission and values of internal growth within their company as well.
Yeah.
So I think it's a beautiful tribute to that as well.
Improve constantly is one of our core values, and and I think that is one of the things that helps kind of separate us from other groups. Is like there's a lot of either smaller dealer groups or single point stores that they'll hire a new person and they just throw them into the deep end and see if they can swim. And they might say, hey, there's some OEM training, go take that. But whether they're techs, whether they're salespeople, a lot of times they just see, okay, we hired him, seems like he's got talent, let's throw him in the water and see if what comes out of it. Where we will never do that for our folks. Sometimes we're criticized for overtraining our people because we provide so many tools for them to use and so many resources for them to lean on in the industry. And to Dane's point, it's not always the right fit in service. So maybe we switch them to sales, and maybe they start in sales, but they'd be better off as a technician or a service advisor. So that's what I think is one of the great things about our organization.
Absolutely amazing.
So hearing how you guys have so many opportunities, and you just, you love the internal growth, just as Bella said, and that's amazing to hear as a Northwood student, as a college student in general. It's just an amazing thing to hear, and just a very good organization. How do you ensure that the employees feel that value every day? They know these opportunities, they know they can grow, they know that they're safe in a sense, they feel in a community. But how do they feel that true value, that motivation, that drive to make Lithia better every single day?
Well, I'm going to defer to Dane in a second here, but obviously there's employee appreciation. So how are you conveying that to your employees, right? Like I said earlier, providing the path to success. And like Dane said earlier, lateral moves sometimes have to happen, and that's what it takes, is identifying that this person might be better suited in this area. But back to the point of how do you show your employees that you appreciate them? There are different ways that we have to do that. And Dane has something that he came up with recently that I think is very pivotal to how a person feels successful here. So
yeah, it's recognition, right? We're fast to judge someone or have a conversation when something goes wrong, but we lack when people do good things. So one thing I implemented at my store that I took over this year that lacks some culture is I always said, hey guys, we're rebuilding a dream. So every quarter we nominate, based off our core values and a couple other things, we nominate an individual to win a brick. And I picked a brick because it's like, hey, we're rebuilding the foundation.
Brick by brick.
Brick by brick. So I put their name on it, the quarter it is, the value they won. And then it's crazy. Everyone at our quarterly meetings, they're like betting on each other who's going to win a brick.
Yeah, they want a brick.
So
I want a
that's
brick.
all they want is a brick.
Yeah.
So it's gone over well, and we're about to do our next one in a couple weeks. So
That's incredible. Sometimes it just takes something that simple to really implement those values and continue that amazing community that you've all created.
And it's that even just that small extra 5 minutes of, hey, I see you today. Thank you for doing what you do. I think that is absolutely amazing. So hats off to you, gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us here today.
Thank you. Thanks for having us. Very much.
The value and the insight that you share has just, it's so amazing, and it helps us grow the industry, as individuals and as students as well. So thank you absolutely so much.
Thank you. Great. Thanks for having us.
Yes,
Thank you, guys.
absolutely. And thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time on the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. I'm Stephen Hackbarth, and today I'm joined with Vanessa Collins. We're here at the Lithia Suburban Collection, and we're going to be talking today about the DART program. So if you guys just want to go down the line, starting with you, Lane, and kind of introduce yourself, tell us about your position and everything.
Sure. I'm Lane Pulowski. I'm a recruiter for the collection, and I used to help out with our social media and philanthropy events.
Mike Cavanaugh, Vice President here at Lithia. I do all kinds of different fun stuff and get to work with everybody up here. So
I'm Matt Dashke. I'm a DART operations analyst here at Lithia. I'm in our Suburban Buick GMC of Troy store, focusing on used cars right now.
John Chatzopoulos. I'm a platform general manager. I have the privilege of supporting a group of our stores here locally in Ishart.
Amazing. And so, for those of us that might not be familiar, can you tell us what is the DART program? I'm going to start down there.
Yeah, so I think we created DART years back, and it was really a, like Matt, you said it was a developmental
rotational training program.
Right. And it started for data analysts, and then we figured out that it kind of spread to all the departments. And really, it's a program designed to kind of propel some of the young up-and-comers that are getting into the business. It's a career path, and really what we try to do with DART is, figure out, what's the sweet spot for the candidate that's coming in, what's their passion, what do they enjoy doing, and kind of get them down that path and develop them at the same time.
So I would say DART for our corporate level started off a couple years ago, like John said, working through finance, marketing, HR, things, different departments on the corporate side. Recently, I think it was about 1.5 years ago, we started the operations side. Started off with 5 of us in the nation. I was one of 5 when we started. We're now up to 7 of us. I'm one of 7 in the nation for the operations side for DART. And like John said, it's a rotational training program. When I started out in service and parts, learned that a little bit, switched over to used cars, and kind of found a home at Buick GMC. So it's been great so far.
Amazing.
Thank you.
So how does DART impact employee career pathways at Lithia and within the Suburban Collection, but really just Lithia as a whole, starting with you, Mike?
Okay, so I've been a huge proponent of DART from the beginning. I mean, it's pretty awesome when you get to see, Vanessa and Matt both are in the DART program, right? Which is really cool to have you both up here, right? My niece Elena is also in the DART program and did a rotation through, one of our Ford stores here locally, and now moved to Tampa, right? Vanessa, you're from Michigan and now you live in Texas, right? So I would say that the DART program has influenced career paths, in a way that I think it's made it a lot easier for high performers that maybe don't want to just stay in the same store in the same region to get some visibility across the entire nation, right? And have other leaders. We were in Oregon, in the summertime, I want to say, and all of the darters got to have dinner with our CEO, right? For a couple hours. Wow. Great conversation, right? And I don't know how many people that early in their career get to have dinner with, the CEO of the largest dealer group in the industry that they're in, right? But I think that says a lot, one, about the humility and I think the approachability of Ryan, but 2, about how important this program is to our entire company, right? That being part of this DART program, it gives you almost unlimited access to whatever pathway you want to go down. You could decide that you want to be in the used car side of the business or the finance side of the business, or you could decide to be on the data analyst side that supports all the business operations across the region, right? But there's just so many opportunities that I think if you just started a business in a job, you're going to really be relying on your one manager, and are they your advocate or not? Are they going to be a champion for your growth or not? Are they going to get you the training you want or not? Where this opens it up to, you've got a lot of people that really, I think, have your best interest at heart.
For sure. In Elena's story specifically, is quite incredible because she started within a store.
She did.
Then moved down to Tampa and is doing a analyst position. And so
Right.
she's got to experience the operations and the more so corporate side.
Right.
And so the fact that there's that flexibility too, to not just stay within a store, but to go to corporate or go from corporate to within a dealership and get that operational experience, it's quite incredible.
Be awesome.
With all those amazing opportunities and things that come with the program, so just a couple questions about the classes. How frequently do classes run, and what's the atmosphere like in starting it through?
We don't technically have classes. We do our internship that's in the summertime, and then we have the accelerated program, which is you would come on as an employee, and then you're just working on this full time. You still go through the different departments, get the hands-on learning opportunities, meeting with, management, seeing what the day-to-day is on, being in a dealership, and then also going on tour represent.
Yeah, I would say it's more hands-on, right? The first 6 weeks we look at it like a rotational program, and so Matt is probably somebody I could speak to because we work hand in hand on this, and it was so impressive to see that we would start with one department, and then we would recap, and Matt would open up his book and he would have pages and pages and pages of notes, and I'm like, how did you absorb so much in so little time? But during our recaps, you really start to see like, wow, there was a lot of takeaways here. And then we started doing that with each department. And so Matt started out with sales, I believe, used cars.
Sales with used cars, yeah.
And then we went to BDC ops, then we went to parts, then we went to service. And after the whole rotational, we sat down and said, Matt, out of all the places that you got to experience, what really stood out to you? And used cars was for Matt. Like he said, I really like it. I said, great. Well, we have an opportunity in this store, and I want you to help us with, speed to line and reconditioning. So it's going to give you experience not only in the used car side, but you're going to understand the service piece. And then we moved on to reconditioning. Then we moved on to buying cars. And before you knew it, Matt knew all the lingo. He knew how to buy cars. He knew how to recondition them. And now he's sitting in a used car manager chair, and admittedly, he's doing better than people that have 20 and 30 years of experience that historically we look to hire. We were wrong.
Yeah,
thank you.
We were wrong. He's doing a better job, and kind of revolutionized it for us too. And that was my aha moment when I said, here's the results you get when you actually invest the time and develop somebody. And, I think Matt's got a bright future ahead of him. So
John's been such a huge advocate for the DART program, and it's interesting. We were talking about, hey, how many DART folks would you like for next year? And John's like, all of them, all of my stores. I want every store, right?
Yeah.
And he says, we're seeing honestly, after being in the industry my whole life, I haven't been this excited and invigorated, I think, about the business again, because you see that like the future of our business is strong. Right. And it's exciting. And there's a lot of high caliber, really sharp people that want to make an impact here. And it's like lights me up.
And if you want to speak to Matt, like dealing with that confidence in the industry coming in, do you feel like the DART program really set you up for success?
Yeah, 100%, no doubt. Like John kind of walked us through how my pathway, where I got to where I am today, and John himself alone helped me more than anyone I could ever imagine. I thank him. I can't thank him enough for what he's done for me. But he transitioned me, and he took time with me to, like, when I transferred from service to parts, we sat down, talked about it, like he said. And then when I got into the used car world, I'd sit with him every day. We'd go on the auction, we'd go look at cars every day, and he taught me, this is what you're going to look for. This is what you got to look out for. And he showed me the way. So I appreciate John a ton.
That's awesome. I love that you mentioned that in 2026, give me all the Dutters that you can give me for your stores. Because John and Mike, you guys are in, you're talking through GMs, and you can help strategize to bring more darters to your stores. And right now we have, like you said, 7 or 8 national, throughout country darters, but the opportunity is really endless. We can bring more in and really have a darter within each store. Is that something you kind of see in the future? Or what do you see for the DART program for 2026 and beyond?
I think our goal for this year is to have 50 to 60, right? So to pretty much 10x what we have right now. And Lithia is a bit known to have ambitious, audacious goals, right? We're not afraid to put big goals out there. And I think this is a big goal that we can attain, because when we went up to Northwood, whether it was at the auto show or recruiting events, we have probably 50 to 60 people that are interested from Northwood, right? Not to mention all of the other universities that we're recruiting at and what we're doing. So really it's going to become, I think, a bit of an elite program where we find the best of the best people that really want to come here. But also we have to be responsible as leaders to make sure that we're only putting Dart folks in stores that have good leaders that are going to invest in them, that are going to mentor them, that aren't going to look at it like, yeah, go spend some time over here and then maybe go spend some time over here,
Right.
but really to do their job. So I think there's a lot to look forward to, yeah.
100%. Lots of exciting things in store.
Well, the way I look at it is we're 7 for 7 right now. Every darter that ran through the program is successful. And, Matt gave me a lot of credit, but I also got to give him a lot of credit because there's a lot of things that I've learned through Matt, right? He truly has revolutionized how we do things. The way he uses AI to comments, processes that Matt implemented that I would have never even thought of. And I'm learning from Matt and I'm spreading it to the rest of my stores. So it's kind of like a win-win situation. It's a great partnership. And when I look at this generation coming up, I'm not afraid of it. I'm embracing it. My dad, when I was growing up, would tell me, how his generation, they, worked hard and did all this stuff, and your generation, and it kind of passes all down. It's totally not the case. Totally not the case.
Sure. It's a pipeline, cultural incubator, if you will, to bring in young, top talent and grow them from within. Growth powered by people. Motto.
Sounds like a terrific program. Thank you all so much for your time and valuable insights. And we have plenty of more great things to come at this Lithia Suburban Collection pop-up event.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. I am Logan Wilmot, a senior at Northwood University, and I am joined here with my co-host.
Hi everybody, I'm Emma Ladd, and I'm also a junior at Northwood University, and today we are here joined with...
Victor Petrie, Suburban Collision Centers.
Sean Kingery, Kaiser Automotive Group.
Jim Elder, General Manager of 4 Ford stores in Chrysler.
Shawn, Leline, General Manager, Suburban Mazda Detroit.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for being here with us today. We are super excited to have this conversation on what it takes for a successful fixed candidate in 2026. So I'll ask the first question, and then any of you are welcome to answer it. So starting off, what does it look like today in your dealerships with the relationships between advisors, BDCs, and technicians?
Who wants to go first?
Depends on the day, depends on the store.
It really does.
I'll take the lead on that one. I think it depends on the store you're in. I think it depends primarily on the leadership in the store and the communication within that store. I'm a firm believer, and I use the term a lot. The speed of the leader, speed of the team. And if the leader of the team has good communication skills, and I'm not a big person on meetings, but I like the word huddles, has morning huddles with the teams and has communication, I think it can go well. If it doesn't go well, then it can go really bad really quick.
Yeah, it's in coupling on that, I think between the technicians, BDC, and the service advisor, never before has that job, and it sounds crazy to say it, starting to merge not into one, but you have a technician that can send video right directly to the customer, so they have direct communication with the customer. Advisors, same thing, right? But they have to communicate with the technician to make sure that happens efficiently. And BDC is obviously talking to the customer as well. So everybody's customer centric and being more, I should say, in contact directly with that customer. So they're all kind of merging. You got to have a lot of the same skills, I would say, across the departments.
Those are the type of people we're looking for too, is hospitality, right? That's customer service. First and foremost, we need our service departments need to learn not to say no to a customer or problem solvers. So, and that's what we really look for in a service person or a parts person with who hires. How do we get them to not say no to a customer? Let's solve the customer's problem, right? That's what we're here to do. Give them a world-class experience and take care of their car.
Yeah, it's all about good problem solving and, being with the customer and helping the customer out. That's key. I mean, you have to have a good attitude and And a lot of it, like we said about communication, you know, to want to sell, you have to see it. So you got to show the customer what we're doing, what's going on, and you know, from there, and they put eyes on it and sell what you need.
Yeah, that's so amazing. It's so awesome to hear your guys' different perspectives because I know you all are in a bit of a different position. So hearing your different perspectives on like the same like goal is just, it's nice to hear. So our second question for you guys today is why is this pathway a win-win for customers and employees?
I just think it's growing our business and it's growing our people too, right? So, hey, if we have customers or employees know how to communicate with our guests know what's going on. They're going to keep coming back, growing our business. But we're always looking to hire from within. I'm sure Shawn's with his stores are doing the same thing. Our number one employees typically are the people that we moved up through the ranks, right? So, and that's how I moved up in the business. Is I started, down here, worked my way up, and it doesn't happen overnight. Well, if you put the work in and the learning in and effort, and take care of your guests, your team, you're going to get there.
I think for us, the landscape has changed so much. If you said 5 years ago that a technician was going to do a video, or you were going to let a technician even talk to a client,
yeah,
I mean, it would have been taboo. You'd have been laughed out, quite frankly. And now it's not. It's expected, quite frankly. It's required. And I think that's changed, and the advisor's role has changed because of that too. I think the advisor, I'm a big I love BDCs. I'm a big proponent of BDCs. And the advisor's landscape has changed where we've taken a lot off their plate, which changed their workflow as well.
Right. Well, with texting, communication for the service advisors, now we have the video. I mean, I love video. I think video sells. I don't know if it really sells, but it builds that transparency with that customer. People don't trust what's going on in the back. So we can give them a quick video, what's going on, show them their car, show them, hey, great news. There's nothing wrong with your car.
Correct. And listen, we're charging a premium price, and the client deserves a premium service for it. And you have to have that culture, from the top down, that if you're going to charge $250 an hour, or you're going to charge warranty $300 an hour, you need to get the service right the first time.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, empowering the advisor, the technician, and the BDC, and then having complete transparency. I think it all meets together and it really makes that seamless kind of communication with the customer.
Yeah. That's fantastic. And as you guys mentioned, customer experience nowadays is truly everything in the fixed operations department. So kind of going off of that, what skills would you say make someone an ideal candidate for a fixed ops position today? And then coupling off of that, how have you seen the technician process? I know you mentioned with, the video MPIs and a lot of things like that. But on top of that, how have you seen the technician positions change over the years? Lot to digest.
Well, what I notice is that I got more techs now willing to learn, right? Things are changing. Cars change. Every year is a new model. Something changes in the vehicle. Educate yourself. Update training, learning new products, what's going on with the vehicles. So that's key. They need to know what's up to date, what's involved in repairing the vehicle. How can you explain to a service advisor or estimator or a customer if you don't know yourself what's going on, what needs to be done?
I think obviously being Northwood's backyard and having Northwood students here, I think there's a different answer to that as well, where we have tech colleges that I'm a big part of, and we have good luck pulling out of tech colleges. But when you go to tech colleges now, 60% of those students have no ambitions of ever working on cars. They're there, A, because mom told them they had to go to college, or B, they want to know how to work on their own car. Obviously, Northwood's a much different version of that thing. So how has it changed? To his point, it's all about education. Before, I've been doing this 31 years now. You had the mirror test. If they could fog a mirror, you hired them. You can't hire a tech now to fog mirrors. They're better at computers than we ever were, because that's all the car is now, is one big computer. EV or not EV, it's just one big computer.
Think about the evolution of the technician. When I started the business, they were called mechanics, right? And that's a complete insult to that person. They're the smartest guys and gals in the showroom or in the dealership. Now they're technicians, and then from there, I think, to be honest with you, they're going to be skilled trades, and that's what it's about, right? So it's evolved so much where the most intelligent, smartest Ford thing is, a lot of them are technicians.
And no, I agree, Jim. It's the car is a computer. And there's so much technology in these vehicles. They have to be smarter than some of these engineers that are designing these cars, because they're dealing with all these problems with the vehicles. And they're constantly having to learn and go to class. Every year there's updated training, there's updated things going on with these vehicles.
And like Jim said, they're the smartest people in the building most of the times because they have to fix these problems with these cars.
And back to what we originally said, putting a camera in a technician's hand, you wouldn't have done it 5 years ago. Now, again, they're the ones selling the job. They're the ones selling the work because that is who the client trusts because it's their car. It's locked.
Right.
Awesome. Great answers, guys. Customers are definitely the biggest part of this industry, as we know, and it's forever changing. We're forever having to adapt. So, kind of piggybacking off of that, the last question we have for you guys is how has customer experience improved as a result of this?
Well, overall service with, the BDCs coming in, making the visor's job a little bit easier so that the phones aren't constantly ringing. We're picking up the phones, getting appointments. I think that's better, but one of the bigger customer service sides of it. Video is another one, and just basic follow-up with texting, automated texting. Now we have so many different tools at our hands. As long as we're using those tools, we can give that customer a world-class experience, opening up schedules, getting people in, making sure you staff appropriately. It's all those little things that build that a whole overall customer experience.
Yeah, reducing the friction points, right? So yeah, like Shawn, like you said, the texting, mobile service, and video, right? So that's all stuff that can create the transparency and the efficiency, and the less friction a customer has to either bring their car in. We can go to them, we can go pick up their car, bring it back, and then you can give them constant updates, obviously, as their car moves through the progression, where that didn't happen before, right? So it was kind of a mystery at that point. So now there's just so much more technology and transparency and efficiency involved in the whole process. So it creates a better customer experience.
And to piggyback off of that is that we've all talked about it. I think Shawn said it first in the first part of this, saying yes. Before, because we had so many roadblocks and we made it harder than it needed to be, we said no more than we said yes. You have to have a mindset. The answer is yes. If you don't have a client, you don't have a car, you don't have something to work on. And if they don't sell cars, we don't fix cars. It doesn't end. It's a big round circle. You got to say yes. Everything is yes. If the answer is never no, you just find a way. You'll figure it out.
How about you for adapting?
Sure. Like Shawn said, technology is great. I mean, with scheduling is a big thing. So with scheduling appointments, having customers come in, to have our guests with us, is that we have staff there. So we know, this time of day we have X amount of people coming in. It definitely changed everything with getting scheduling done, communicating with the guests as well, making them aware of what's going on with their vehicle, what needs to be done, what's the cost value going to be. So it's definitely changed in the last few years. Big difference.
Yeah, for sure. Honestly, just building loyalty and just getting your customers to come back and just feeling have that personal vibe that is really important.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you all so much for joining us. This has been the Fixed Ops Roundtable, and we will see you guys next time.
Welcome back to the Fix Ops Roundtable. My name is Stephen Hackbarth. Today I'm joined with Lainey Jakeway, and we're here at the Lithia Suburban Collection, and we're going to be talking about what it takes for a successful Fix Ops department in 2026. So, starting down the line, if you just want to introduce yourself and talk about what you do.
Hi, I'm with Suburban Collision. My name is Victor Petrie. I'm the general manager of the Suburban Collision Body Shops.
Jim Elder, general manager at Suburban Ford and Suburban Chrysler.
David Reinecke, president of Automotive Warranty Network.
Shawn Kingery, vice president of fixed operations for the Kaiser Automotive Group.
And I'm Lainey Jakeway, a student at Northwood University. So for our first question, what role do leadership and mentorship play in personal and professional growth?
Well, I think it plays a huge role. So I started off thinking this is going to be a part-time job when I was 26 years ago, and I'm staying, and I'm glad I did. So I had a mentor kind of bring up the ranks and kind of watch how things change with everything, with Suburban itself and the way the auto industry changed over the years. And I think it's a good thing to have mentors and good leadership, and it definitely changed my life.
As Victor said, one of our core values is continuous improvement, right? So, when we hire entry-level employees, whether it be in service or in sales even, we look for the potential down the road. We're not just hiring for that day. If we hire college students and they have the potential, we will mentor them, put them with experienced service advisors, even with technicians, and move them through the system so they can grow and prosper.
I think mentorship is extremely important. Early in my career, I had a mentor, and I showed a great interest in at the time technology and IT. And as somebody saw that thirst in me and mentored me, and brought me up through the ranks. So, passing that on down the line, when you find somebody that's hungry, interested in what you're doing, it's important to bring them up and make them the best they can be. So.
For me, and again, I said this on our previous panel as well, the speed of the leader, speed of the team. If you don't have a leader with a positive outlook and doesn't understand that growing the business from within is the key, because anybody can hire from without. Anybody can go out and recruit and pay somebody more money, but that just means they're going to do the same to you in return. It has to come from within, and the drive has to be from the leader. It's really all about the leadership, and the leader has to come in every day wanting to. It's got to be his drive, or what we say. What's his why? His why has to be his people and not just the money.
Yeah.
Wow. And we talk a little bit about leadership, and especially going into 2026, one of the hot topics is technology, whether it's AI or any sort of technology. How do you think technology plays a part in fixed operations today?
I think it plays a huge part in fixed operations. I mean, I see it personally in the last couple of years. We got big into AI, just with customers being able to reach out to us right away. Communication is huge, so we get right back to them within seconds or minutes. I mean, it's awesome. Scheduling, AI does our scheduling for us. So technology plays a huge factor in fixed ops right now. Just like I said, scheduling cars, customer updates, keeping communication lines open with customers. So right now it's great. I see it improving as time goes on. So we're definitely in the right here.
And I'll go next if you don't mind. I think, as far as technology and AI being a big one, and nobody likes change. Clients have to accept that change in AI. And we as a business have struggled with a good BDC AI tool. We're all looking for it. We're all looking for it every single day. But in David's world, the warranty side of it, AI plays a big part of it. Video is a big part of it. It's all part of technology. Again, communication key, texting and communication with the client. Now there is no excuse why the phone rings all the time, or a client comes in and says, I haven't been contacted in a week. Those days are gone. They've got to be long gone. And part of that, you have to change the culture to accept that technology is part of who we are.
For sure. I think, it's about meeting the customer where they're at, right? So every customer and every person can get instant answers on their phone or look up information that they don't know right directly on their phone. So basically what AI does for us, it's really not about the technology. It's about meeting them where they're at, right? Seamlessly, quickly, fast, efficient, so we can give them the answers that they need and what they expect and meet their expectations.
And I think to add to that, I think everything that's been said here, AI contributes to the customer experience and everything like that. But also automating routine tasks helps improve efficiency in the dealerships too, and in certain processes. There's so many tasks that a person does in systems every day that it's routine. It's the same 6 clicks. It's the same 10 movements. So, automating as much as you can to improve efficiency and save time to staff.
Fixing vehicles is the same way. 80% of what we fix is repetitive. The same thing breaks on the same cars every day. It's the same thing. Making the text type the same stories. Have that all built. Again, it's all technology, and it's all just improving efficiencies.
Yeah. And like how you said, AI helps technology improvements and convenience for your customers. How does the mobile service change your operations, and what are some obstacles that you've faced with that?
I mean, mobile service has been huge for fixed operations, and it's really just at the infancy stages right now. Even though we've been in it for 5 years, it's ever evolving, obviously with the software and the technology that comes about and the capabilities of mobile service. And again, it all comes back to just meeting the customer where they want to be, right? And meeting where they're at and creating less friction points. Nobody's ever raised their hand and said, I want to bring my car in for service and wait in the line and talk to an advisor and then sit in the lounge and have coffee, right? So they'd rather do that from the comfort of their couch. So that's mobile services. It's a convenience for the customer. It's good for us because it relieves a lot of the pressure from the shop itself and from the advisor itself. So it's a win-win on both ends.
And, mobile service is a large industry trend right now. And we kind of want to get your guys' advice towards other dealers trying to grow their business, or, with any other industry trends. What advice would you give dealers trying to grow their business?
Don't overthink it. That's the biggest thing. You got to jump in. The first step is to take the first step, right? So, we tried to plan it out and make it sure we had a perfect process before we rolled it out. And I don't think that's the way to do it, because you're always going to have to pivot. You're always going to have to change your processes, the people that, handle it, from the incoming leads to sending the van out itself. You just got to get of it. Just do it, figure it out, learn it. There's no perfect process in the game.
I think his answer is don't overthink it. Remove the roadblocks. It's all the same thing. Listen to your people. Listen to the people who are in the trenches. They'll tell you what the roadblocks are. Forget the naysayers and the people that are fighting the change. But if you listen to your people and you hear where the roadblocks are and you remove the roadblocks, all of a sudden it starts to become profitable, efficient, and everybody wants to do it. And then it's not a change anymore. It's just the culture of who you are.
And do you find that there's any large industry trends right now going to 2026 with with the collision? And what advice would you give?
Well, like I said, there's a lot of changes. Cars are definitely different than they were 5 years ago. I mean, it's just with all the safety features and everything else. So with the trends, cost difference, insurance claims are different. Everything's a little different right now. Just got to learn patience. So we just got to educate our customers, let them know what's going on with their vehicles, keep them up to date. And I think with the AI and with a lot of the texting features and what we have going on right now, it definitely makes things a lot easier with communications.
Amazing. And what would you say? Are there any industry trends right now that you're looking that you could give some good advice on?
For myself, I work in the world of warranty. So, I'm not in the dealership customer facing with the customer experience. So, for dealerships, I would say the trend we're seeing right now in the warranty world is audits. And, I know I keep banging the table on audits, but we're seeing a lot of audits. Manufacturers are coming in auditing dealerships with these higher labor rates, parts markups. So we're seeing more audits than we have in years past. So we're really trying to help dealerships prepare for that and help mitigate some of those chargebacks that potentially could happen because the technician didn't repair the vehicle properly, didn't document the repair properly. So in my world, that's what we're seeing trending. So
With technology and mobile service, it sounds like there's a lot to be excited about in 2026. So thank you all for your valuable insights about what it takes to be successful in fixed operations. We really appreciate your time.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. My name is Julia Dim. I'm here with Sarah Vantine, and today we are at the Suburban Collection Lithia pop-up event here in Troy, Michigan. And it's been a great day, don't you think, Sarah?
I agree, Julia. We've had a lot going on today, and we're going to be talking with this incredible group of panelists today about customer experience and technology. Panelists, I'd love to have you all introduce yourselves real quick to our audience that's listening today, and tell us a bit about what you do and your company.
Hi, my name is Karl Murphy. I'm the CEO of Spiffy, and we provide infrastructure for dealerships to launch mobile services.
Shawn, Vice President of Fixed Operations for the Kaiser Automotive Group.
And I'm Cody Collins, Vice President of Client Experience for Go Trago. We are an assessment organization to help dealerships put the right people in the right roles the first time.
I'm Ed Roberts, COO and GM of Bozard Ford Lincoln in Sacs, Team Florida.
Troy Blackwell, EVP of Spiffy Mobile Service.
Oh, thank you so much. For our first question, where are dealers underutilizing technology in fixed ops?
I'll take that run to begin with. The dealers a lot of times will look to technology to fix a broken process. And then we realize after we get rolling with it, that it didn't necessarily get to where we wanted it to be. And it's because the process is still broken. And so a lot of times we have to look inward first, correct the processes, and then look for technology that creates the efficiencies to go along with that.
I think on my side or our side, and where Ed and I spend most of our time, we all look for an AI option for BDCs that we struggle with. That probably we haven't all found the right tool yet. And, Ed and I spent a lot of time today talking about people struggle with challenges and changes. And again, to Ed's point, we don't need another tool to fix a process that people aren't going to use. We have enough tools. We have the tools we need. We need to use the tools we have and then move on from there.
Kobe, I'd love to get your perspective because, as we're talking about customer experience and, technology is certainly a huge important component of it.
But there's elements with technology that really help give the dealer a better ROI. So, starting what you're doing at GoTrago, what do you see as being the technology that's given dealers the greatest opportunity to get their return on investment?
Well, we'll always tell you it's the people, Sarah. So, right, the right people are the ones who know how to use the technology. And you're so right. I fully agree. We have so much information coming at us constantly, but do we know how to practically and correctly apply that information? And how fast can we apply it correctly? And so that's what we like to look at is, it is science that we use to look at people to know who can really adapt as fast as we need them to, because technology without the people behind it is not going to solve the problems we're after. Obviously, in an engine, it's a different story, right? But people are still designing the technology. So when you have the right people strategy and then you begin to apply the technology and AI, and you've got to have people who know how to use the AI. AI is not going to replace anyone on your team, but AI will replace, or people will be replaced by the people who can use the AI. So that's what we let you know, is who can and who can't.
Well, Karl and Troy, thinking about this, as we're seeing the customer expectations increase, we're seeing technology be at customers' fingertips when they're choosing to buy car, service a vehicle. What are you seeing, technology-wise, that's giving dealers that edge over their competition?
Well, a big topic is mobile services, which we provide a lot of technology for. Being able to go to the consumer's driveway and solve the problem, whether it's a warranty, a recall, or an oil change, or any number of services. Customers are super excited by the convenience that brings. And to do that well, and to do that at scale requires technology. So I think that's something we see a lot happening.
Yeah, just to add on, I think technology just as a whole is underutilized software that happens in dealership world today. And, coming from the dealership side of the business, I would walk into locations and I would say, which GM or fixed up signed this long-term contract?
Yes. Yeah.
And it's just being underutilized. There's some great software companies out there, but historically, though, it's very underutilized. Some people are only using like 10%. So I know as our company, we come in and we spend a lot of time consulting, educating, working alongside, because we may not have all the answers, but can we tailor and take some of that feedback and apply it to our software?
And Julia, we're talking a lot about automation in the industry too.
Right. So with that being said, if you could automate just one task in the service department, what would you automate?
Ooh, just one task.
It would be the ability to set an appointment without a human involved.
Oh, what does that?
Yeah, we have, and that's one thing that Spiffy helps us with immensely, is to allow us to be able to create an online appointment. And we're so stuck in time in the dealership from that standpoint, and we feel like we got to have our human fingers in everything, that there is technology that can already do those things. And if it can already do those things, use integrate where it can benefit us all.
And Ed stole that, 'cause again, that's what I said at the beginning. It's AI. It's the BDC side of it. When you call the airlines, the last person you want to talk to actually is a human. You want to talk to the computer to reschedule or rebook your flight. But as Ed said, we as humans and our clients, they struggle with that change. They don't like the change, no matter what voice is going to come across. We've struggled for 10 years getting clients to even schedule online, which it's less than 10%, and that tool is so easy with X time or whatever scheduling tool you're using, that the tool is out there to use. You can schedule whatever you want, but they still choose to let the phone ring and set on hold and to go through the abuse. And as Ed said many years ago, the customers don't want to come to the dealership, guys. It's not what you wake up every morning to do, but you have to do it. We need to make it as less struggleful as possible, I guess would be the word. But we struggle with it, and the clients struggle with it.
Troy, Karl, Nick, Cody, we're talking so much about so many different capacities that technology can be utilized in fixed operations and in the purchasing of vehicle. But as customer expectations evolve, are you seeing this the way that the technology that's happening in automotive, other industries, other verticals, maybe a little bit ahead of us in some of the ways that they improve that customer experience? So what pieces do you see evolving from other industries that are going to impact automotive?
Yeah, I guess I'll start. I think automotive historically is kind of last to get there. Shawn and Ed have both mentioned that historically they want customers to drive to their dealership and perform service. So for us, we're always looking at what other industries are doing. What is the technology out there? One tool that we introduced recently is called the Easy Tread Tire Reader. And it's a device that helps, but there's still, Cody would like this, it's people and process. So there's still people part of this, and they have to greet that customer at the service drive, actively walk around with the tool, but there's an engagement. Let the technology tell the customer they need tires, and then therefore that process kind of changes. And whether that's a valet or a porter, or in best case scenario, be the service advisor, but gives conversation and then let the technology tell the customer they need tires, which that's what we're seeing.
Yeah, and I will echo that, and it's so true that as we see the salespeople work so hard to gain a customer, a service person can lose them in a heartbeat if they're not the right person. And we think about service people as being technical, but they also now have to have excellent people skills. Because if my experience in your service bay, or thank goodness now that we have mobile service options, if you show up at my house and you make me feel really important because you can actually look me in the eye and help me understand what you're doing, I will buy my next car from your dealership.
Yeah, I think the thing we have noticed with employees is that somewhere between 35 and 40 they're digitally native, which means they don't want to talk to you.
Yeah.
And whether that's a consumer or the employee, we're trying to put as many tools into text and email that become automatic, and then it allows the best employees to do the best human skills, which is develop relationships and solve complex problems. And then the super simple things like schedule an appointment. It's pretty predictable. You use a day and a time, a type of service. That's a very computer literate task. It's very easy to systematize. Let's do all that stuff electronically via text or email, and then, kick out the consumer, the human, the superhuman things that you can't do technically. Let the consumers do that, or let the the BDC or the sales rep have a real conversation, not like hey, I need your birth date, I need your VIN, I need your 80-digit VIN number, what's your license? I still don't know what my license plate is. It's all these sort of things. And so I think that's a big part of what we bring in our business, and I see it across all of the dealerships trying to do this.
Yes. Julia, it's amazing listening to our guests today on this panel. Just customer experience is evolving, and it's going to be even more important as we continue to elevate the industry. Everyone, we're here at the Fixed Ops Roundtable here at the Suburban Collection with Lithia in Troy, Michigan. Stay tuned. We have more exciting stuff that's coming up next.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. I'm Stephen Hackbarth, and today we're here at the Lithia Suburban Collection, and I'm joined with
Logan Wilmot. I'm a senior at Northwood University, and today we're going to be talking about creating efficiencies in the fixed operations department.
So we just want to start with everybody introducing themselves. So if we want to go down the line, we'll start with you, Ted.
I'm Ted Ings of the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
I'm David Reinecke, president of Automotive Warranty Network.
Shawn Kimby, vice president of fixed operations for the Kaiser Automotive Group.
And Mike Grubich, I'm the CEO of GoTrago.
Awesome. And we were wondering, what's one process in fixed ops that most dealers overcomplicate, and how can it be simplified? We'll start with you, Ted.
Stephen, it's a people business. We tend to overcomplicate things in the car business a lot. So keep it simple. Keep it focused on your people. Keep it positive. Keep a focus on the culture, on the career path, all the things that we've been talking about here today at Lithia. And most of all, remember that all the things that we want to accomplish, the profit, the customer satisfaction, it all starts with the employee and their satisfaction.
Awesome.
Well, I'm a vendor, so I don't work in the dealership, so I'm going to speak to the warranty space that I know. I think the warranty process is overcomplicated in most dealerships, or not, adhered to properly. So many dealerships I hear, the technician didn't repair the vehicle properly, poor documentation. And then by the time it gets to the warranty administrator has to backtrack, get with the technician, fix the warranty ticket. And, I think it could be uncomplicated if everybody was doing their part throughout the process. If advisors, technicians were educated and doing the part that they needed to do throughout the warranty process and the repair process, I think that process could be uncomplicated.
First of all, I'm going to argue with David. He's not a vendor. He's a partner, by the way. But he's a partner.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you. You're welcome. You know, and I think we talked about it, as Ted said throughout the day today, is we don't need to overcomplicate it with more tools. We have the tools. It is a people business, and you're only as good as your leader. And if the leader doesn't, if the leader's going to poo-poo everything and fight everything, then the process isn't going to work. Again, if the leader walks in the morning and is upbeat, ready to go, and that, again, that's his why, is to drive the people, the process will work, and the tools will work. You don't need to overcomplicate it by throwing more items on it.
Yeah, you know, the one thing I'll add to that is that when you look at effective businesses and the culture of those businesses, it's a team thing, right? The people is an important part, the leaders are an important part, the systems, the processes, the tools, all those things kind of come together. If you don't have all of them, you have a weak link in the chain, and so you got to really focus on that system as an entity, not just a process or a system or a tool.
Absolutely. It really is a people business, you know, coming down to the customers and the employees. In building off of Shawn and Mike, what you guys said a little bit, what is a way where you can build a culture so that employees proactively look for efficiency improvements?
I'll take that away from me. Yeah, to me, it's transparency. In all of our stores, we have a leaderboard, and we talk about leaderboards. Almost every panel that we do is we post everything. We post tech hours. We post hours for the advisors. We don't hide it. We post our CSI. Yes, it's met with resistance, obviously, the first time you do it. But after that, the techs are looking for it every morning. And then you need to have, again, I'm not a big meeting guy, I'm a huddle guy. You need to have a huddle every morning and discuss what's up on the board and why it's on the board. You know, if a guy's working on a 16-hour job and he did hours yesterday, and he's in the red, he's going to explain why. You don't have to do it. He'll defend himself. But again, transparency is everything. Communication, it's all into that one huddle, and it's all based on the one board that's on the wall.
And just to kind of keep the flow with that, if you're doing that, to establish a good solid culture that people want to stay and work, you got to create good experiences. A lot of times we think about, well, it's about behaviors and tasks and things, and those are important, but really what we found is that experiences shape beliefs drive behaviors lead to results. So if you create good experiences, so you have transparent communication, you as a leader, you show up to the customer the same way you ask a technician to show up to a customer. Now you create a flow, and everyone starts to follow that path. So to create a solid culture, create good experiences, that'll shape beliefs, people buy in, then they'll start to behave the right way, and then you'll see results.
Yeah, it's not just the experience of the customer, it's the experience of the employee.
100%, yeah, absolutely. It's 100% that's true.
And to add to that, I think creating a sense of ownership to a certain extent with the employee, to where they can contribute to the process. So, you know, one thing that we do in our company is it's not just David's way or the company's way of doing things. We want to hear everybody's ideas to contribute to the overall mission. So allowing them to participate and share their ideas and share how you know something can be done better, and not just showing up to work every day and saying you're going to do it this way. Listening to how they might have a better way to do it. Right. So
we just did an assessment with a company that is having a huge issue with their culture, and they're trying to figure out what's going on. One of the biggest things we found with that company is that they have a lot of good experts, but they don't respect the experts. They don't ask them, hey, what would you do in this situation? They're told what to do. Absolutely. And they wonder why people are disengaged. It's because you're not respecting the fact that they have an expertise and some experience leveraging.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think the common thread or threads that you're hearing is it's all about communication, and it's about being good listener as well. And listening to your people, engaging them, involving them in the process, and explaining, you know, Mike, maybe the why we're doing these things, right? Yeah. And not just that we're going to do it, but it's why we're doing it, and make that part of it.
Yeah. As humans, we want to know. We want to. I mean, we make fun of our kids that are like, why? But in all honesty, we need to know it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and from the culture perspective, we talk a lot about how that impacts business, whether it's from a partner perspective or in fixed ops. So I was going to wonder, what's a small workflow change that delivered a big efficiency for your team? You start with
in my experience, the biggest efficiency is being as transparent. It's kind of repeat what you were saying before. It's being open with what's going on. Share the financial results. Share the metrics. When people see that, they'll buy into it. They'll take accountability.
Can I add one?
Yeah,
that's something that we're hearing a lot about this year in fixed operations, every dealer's hearing about it, are these technician multi-point video inspections. Okay, that is not only creating efficiency, but it's also putting the technician in a new light where they are now front-facing, where they for many years have been behind the garage door. We never heard or saw them. Now they're on the camera, and now they're on a video communicating to the customer, and the customer can see visually under their car, see their needs, and it also, you know, gets the yes a lot quicker because the customer now is engaged and involved in that process. So we're including them. So I think that's a tremendous efficiency. It's built a lot of good rewards for dealers.
I'm going to feed off of what Ted said is, you know, I talked about the leaderboard and we have that and it's all transparent. The other thing that we talked about in the previous panel as well was with AI and BDCs and with the technicians really selling their own jobs is we've lessened and taken a lot of load off of the service advisors versus this, you know, 20 ROs a day and cramming everything down their throat. And, you know, their jobs have changed, which by the way, allows them to sell, which is really what they're there to do.
One last question for you guys. Shawn, you just brought up AI. How in each of your different respective business roles have you seen AI really be implemented to help with some of these efficiency changes?
Some better than others. We have struggled, and we've talked about it a lot today, and it seems to be the common thread is we're all looking for that BDC solution for AI. And I know there's a lot of tools out there. We're all trying to find the right one that customers will absorb and take and use. As we talk about the airlines, you don't talk to a person you call the airline, but the clients haven't taken that as well on the service side. They haven't taken the scheduling online even in the last 10 years. They struggle with that as well. So AI and the VDC and scheduling appointments would lessen the load a lot.
Yeah, I think that a lot of common questions that we as leaders and employees have, you know, can be solved by using AI early on, Chat GPT, asking, as an example, I have a customer who asked a real tough question, and I didn't know how to answer that question. So I asked that question of Chat GPT, and it gave me a very structured, formalized response that I ended up not sending word for word, but pretty close back to the customer. And they said, you know what, that makes sense. We're going to go with that. So, you know, I utilized it just as a sounding board to see what was out there. And it's amazing the resources if used.
Yeah, and I live in the people and talent side of businesses. We've just designed an AI tool that helps with coaching and development. And so we're bringing AI into how you coach effectively, whether it be leadership, sales, any professional role. It brings another element of learning into the process.
That's fantastic. AI is truly the future. And I think over the next few years, we're really going to see how AI not only changes the fixed operations side of the business, but really the whole automotive business as a whole. So I think it's really cool to see where everything is headed and see how much of a difference that's going to make and impact all of our lives. So wanted to thank you guys so much for all of your time and conversation today. All of your insight truly pushes forward this industry and is a spotlight for people to come to learn more and make their everyday lives easier and more efficient. So this has been the Fixed Ops Roundtable at the Suburban Collection Pop-Up in Troy, Michigan. Thank you all so much for your time and more content on the way. Thank you.
Thanks.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. I'm Sarah Vantine here with Ted Ings. Today we are at the Suburban Collection, part of Lithia in Troy, Michigan. And Ted, we have a very special guest with us.
We do. Dave Shell from Interstate Billing is with us. Dave, thank you for coming and thanks for being involved with the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Thanks, Ted. Appreciate it. Thank you, Sarah.
All right, go ahead.
Fantastic being here. What a great dealership. And I met a lot of the students today.
Dave, to set things off and just to really set the stage for those who may not be familiar with interstate billing, I'd love to hear a little bit more about what you do and how you got started.
So, how I actually ended up with interstate billing is 30 years ago, I worked for a multi-line dealership in St. Louis, 22 rooftops, and we used interstate billing service. So on the dealer standpoint, I understand how it works. It helps the cash flow. I understand all the value of it. And so I ended up going to work for Interstate Billing this year, and that's where we're at.
And Dave, a lot of what you do also has to do with retail automotive. Specifically, I could think of one instance that you and I discussed recently, which is wholesale parts.
Wholesale parts.
Talk us about it.
Huge topic. So a car dealership, they don't finance anything. They don't do finance used cars, new cars. They don't finance the service drive. But 90% of the car dealerships, they want to finance wholesale parts. And it's not a great revenue source, and it's a liability. Interstate Billing takes all the liability out of the dealership and pays them for the receivables up front. Whatever's on the books, we'll buy it.
And historically, Sarah, wholesale parts can be, a very time consuming, a long wait, low margin, and, not always the most profitable if you get one of those customers that doesn't pay for a while.
That's so true, Ted. And Dave, our audience listening today, I think, Ted and I have had a lot of conversations at the roundtable around parts and wholesale specifically. A lot of dealerships are wondering, just on the horizon for 2026, how do you see things evolving between what customer expectations of purchase, trends are, and how a dealer is conducting business when it comes to their parts operations?
So, when you really look at it, the overall view of with the wholesale parts operation to speak on behalf of, most of them are becoming the bank. They don't realize it. And if the biggest thing's talking with the right person, and when they look at here, we're bringing 25 to an end, what they're going to write off, the charge-offs, the charge to policy, and what their, the average clerk makes in HR or the office, we're really cost competitive.
Is it a difficult process for a dealer to get started once they contact you?
No, not at all. It's about 5 forms to fill out in a contract. It's very simple.
And typically from I think I know the answer to this question, but I'll ask it anyway. Advantages of having Interstate do the accounts receivable rather than my in-house accounts receivable, why outsource it?
So the biggest thing is why there's no risk. If you've got a $500,000 out for 30 days, it's great. Everybody pays till they don't. But at the end of the day, the dealership's not liable for it. They have their funding in 24 hours. And moving forward, if they don't pay, if it's slow pay or no pay, warranty claim, they have the funding and they don't have to go looking for the payment.
Well, Dave, fascinating. Up until now, we've never had anybody on the roundtable that talks specifically about accounts receivable, about being able to help the dealer with that. So congratulations to you. And welcome to the Fix Ops Roundtable family. Then we look forward to hearing a lot more from you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
So I'm Ted Ings on behalf of Sarah Vantine and Dave Shell from Interstate Billing. We're here in Troy, Michigan at the Suburban Auto Mall, part of Lithia, and we will be right back.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. I'm Sarah Vantine here with Ted Ings. Ted, it has been quite the day today. What an incredible opportunity to be here at Lithia and the Suburban Collection.
Sarah, you're so right, to experience the people here at Suburban and Lithia, and to combine that with the culture, the values, and the Northwood University element of having the students run the pop-up event today to give you and I a little bit of a break, but really to see how far they've come in their journey in automotive as well.
It's amazing to see the caliber of talent that is here at Northwood University, and having them do the panels and the mini mic interviews today. It's just been incredible to see how comfortable they are in front of the camera and all the different questions and the personalities that they bring out in the organizations.
And this has also been part of a competition that the Northwood students are participating in called the Inter, where handpicked probably the 10 best of Northwood have been here working with us to do this pop-up event. And again, as you said, they've come so far, and amazing to see the talent. And it gives me a lot of hope about the future of the automotive industry scene.
It does, Ted. And what is so amazing is just, again, the opportunities that these kids have and all of the professional opportunities that they're going to have at their feet as they continue to grow in their career. They're just getting started. So there's a lot of incredible organizations out there that are really going to raise the bar for our customers and the industry at large.
Some of the things that stood out to me here at Lithia were the culture, okay, the career path, the building, the charitable giving as well, and just what the outlook they have on the industry. While Lithia is the largest automotive group in the world, it feels like a small hometown dealership group, if you will, and people are able to make decisions and really excel and do that in their performance.
What's amazing to see is how Lithia embraces the culture of Lithia across all their organizations, but each store does things just a little bit differently. And we really captured that today with all of the incredible professionals that are part of this organization.
Well, we have a lot more coming up. The Fixed Ops Roundtable. We have a big 4-day event coming up soon. January 26th to the 29th is the Rock Revolution that you have helped put on the map, Sarah Vantine. So thank you for all that. We have that coming up. And a lot more surprises, I think, in the next few weeks and months.
We do. Everyone stay tuned because the Fixed Ops Roundtable has a lot to plug into. We're going to be in person and online. And like you said, Rock Revolution is coming up soon. So please subscribe and stay tuned for all the latest information we've got coming up.
On behalf of Sarah Vantine and the entire team of the Fixed Ops Roundtable, we want to thank you for being with us here today at Lithia, the Suburban Collection in Troy, Michigan, and wish you the very best of holidays on it.